from Monmouth Park, Oceanport, New Jersey, on an absolutely glorious Friday. Couldn't be better. And
At the races with Steve Vick on Sirius.
Getting going here on Twin Spires Weekend Preview Friday, Sirius 162 XM 207, Sports Zone 999. And at the website, stevebick.com, and all the humidity is gone, and it is going to be absolutely perfect. Racing picks up today with that Jersey Shore that is really is not an open and shut case. You just were listening to the replay, undoubtedly, with Derek Ryan and the excitement about bringing Bookham Dano back, a prep for the Alan Jerkins. It's not only, frankly, about him, and certainly the conversation that we enjoyed with Eddie Owens, getting ready for his. As he, I think, more or less hinted, a bit of a audition for Eddie as well. And any speculation about Bookham Dano not running, that was dismissed yesterday with Derek. Then the main event Saturday, Haskell, not just Haskell though. It the more you look, the bigger the weekend gets. Woodbine, we'll talk to Ron Gearkink this hour. The Woodbine Kings Plate preview day, Woodbine Oaks, Kings Plate trial, and more. Connacht Cup, and very nice stake sequence tomorrow at Woodbine. So we'll check in with Ron. Del Mar opening day, and very unusual. Hammer, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
The Del Mar the Del Mar Saturday. It's just kind of weird, and I got to tell you, it's going to be very interesting tomorrow to see where Handle flows, because there's a lot on the docket.
I'm going to tell you, I know Brad's going to preview a little bit, but I'll tell you there's going to be one very, very unique aspect about Del Mar. Now, Del Mar in itself is a little different. It's a different surface, obviously, than Santa Anita and other tracks in California. So sometimes some strange things happen. Turf course the same way. It's a very if some horses love it and some don't. So people pay close attention to the turf. But one unique thing this year, if you look at the opening day card, you're not going to see one workout at Del Mar.
Because they got there late.
They just opened the track a few days, so that's kind of rare. So you don't have. They've probably gone out and made a couple laps around there, but none of them have breezed over the track.
Interesting.
I should say none of them. I didn't look at every single horseman unless they, blew out. But probably something pretty unique for a big, huge card like this. You won't see one work at Del Mar, which could lead to anything. When you go there, I'm sure. Like I said, Brad Free does a great job. Will be on top of that. But I was looking last night. I go, that's right. They just opened, so
that is
not even a little hint.
And I imagine, in fact, particularly with the main track, horses that are going to turn up that ran there last fall or last summer, maybe give them just a scooch more credit.
It seems to be definitely more of a horse for course type of situation, and that's why I wanted to stress the turf is the same way. You'll see horses that just do great at Santa Anita, and they come down there and you see the 0 for 3 at Del Mar. They just don't like it. I don't know what it is.
Well, part of it is the turns, and it's a little different layout, exactly, and horses have to be ridden a certain way around that turn to reach contention, and not every horse has necessarily the right gait and the right style for that to pay off, for that to be applied.
And obviously, there's the only moisture that track is going to get is from the sprinklers too. So there's obviously not going to rain. So the ground is there. But anyway, Del Mar's nothing quite like an opening day at Del Mar as well. So we wish them luck, and like I said, Brad will go over a few things.
Steve Anderson too. In fact,
Steve.
let's give you the rundown. Nick Tamaro is going to join us early on here, and undoubtedly Nick will look at the cross country. Just one, I think the Lake George, the only piece of the Saratoga action. We'll talk about yesterday in a second, and slip in a little bit about today as well. But Nick Tamaro kicks us off. Brad Free, as mentioned, and we'll get a meat advance. We'll get a little bit of juvenile, and we'll get a couple of opinions on the weekend from Brad. Ron Gierkink in Toronto to set up Plate Trial Day and Woodbine Oaks Day. Marcus Hirsch. In fact, I'm just noticing we've got the DRF Superfecta, Free, Gierkink, Hirsch live here at Monmouth, and Steve Anderson. So we'll come right through the top, all the top writers and handicappers. Scully as well. I think Dennis Drazen's penciled in for 11 for his state of Oceanport address that we get every year. And then I left things a little bit open. One thing that surprises me is the NBC, right? The broad usually we see them by Thursday, and I was surprised yesterday that a lot of times it's Randy Moss and Jerry Bailey that come through.
Right, and usually they stay at the same place that I stay at. I didn't see anybody in the lobby last night or this morning, and I didn't go to the backside this morning. I chose to take a drive through Colts Neck instead.
Oh wow!
That I didn't run through there, and you're talking yesterday about New Jersey, the land of the lawnmower. I mean, we talk about beautiful country. 5 miles from here, Colts Neck, New Jersey is just beautiful, and got to drive by the old golf course. That Due Process, of course, one of the most exclusive courses around. But there's no such thing as exclusivity when you have friends. And John Parada used to run that place and manage the course as well. And got fortunate enough to play there numerous times. And if you want to check it out, Google Due Process Golf and check out that course. I mean, it's just fantastic. So I did that this morning as a little wake me up. So like you mentioned, a beautiful day. In fact, we changed our seats from inside to the rooftop tomorrow because it's going to be such a beautiful day.
Yeah, no, things worked out perfectly here in terms of the weather, and there in the recent past there has been that heat that we just experienced. What was it now? Probably 2 years ago or 3, where they basically had to delay the start of the card, and then ended up just running the stakes portion.
Right.
It was crazy.
I missed that.
It was wild.
Yes.
It was just wild. And then the cooling fans and everything that they could do to keep everybody cool and safe. Saratoga yesterday. Let's slip this in. We'll do just frankly a little bit of Saratoga. I've got everything done. I haven't posted it over at the website yet. Today is a really good card. It's just a straightforward. The Curlin is early for the 3-year-olds, of course, and unmatched wisdom, Way the Horse to Beat. Although Bill Mott's got that time out. Corporate Power is going to have to improve, I think, to top either of them. And then McPeak's got a pair of horses, Elephant's Ear and Django, that work together and both got high marks from Mike Welch and the team. Kind of interesting.
What race is that?
That's the third. Goes early with the 6-horse field, but then after that, it's just good, straightforward racing. The 8th, 9th are a pair of allowances, 6 furlongs for fillies and mares, and that leads into a 1 1/16 inner turf opportunity for fillies and mares, first level allowance. They are as deep and contentious and interesting Chad Brown in the turf race has got a first-time North America Child of the Moon. That's quite, I imagine is going to be good. But there's 7-8 horses in here that probably can win. Actually, Chad's got another one, Root Cause, as well, that is eligible. I actually picked Mott with a 12-1 shot, Epic Miss Justice. And Trombetta's got a horse that I think is competitive. Determined Lily, 8-1. Vino Rouge is 2-1 for Tony Dutrow. There's actually a couple of Tony Dutrow's got a couple of live chances. That Dirt Allowance is absolutely phenomenal. Sam's Treasure, Roswell, Princess Madison, and then there's the 8-1 type shots. I picked Kara's Time for Mitch Friedman, the New York bred that cleared New York bred first level. Now is going to try Open Company first level, and I think is every bit as eligible as any of them. Do-gooder for Antonucci on the rail. As good a pair of allowances as you're going to find. There's maiden specials that are good. I think Bruce Levine, Joker on Fire. Bruce is so good with firsters. That's the 5 and the 6th. 6-1 morning line. I think David probably wishes he went a little lower there, but it's just a fascinating set of races. I mean, real meat and potatoes sets of races. There's a couple of claiming events that are great with droppers and there's all kinds of things going on. A fun Friday card at the Spa.
No, I agree. I looked at those 2 races as well, and they're loaded. So get started today and build up a little bank. We got to thank, we forgot at the beginning of the show to thank Derek Ryan for his little push on his horse at Colonial in the last.
That's right. That's right.
Lost my sock.
What'd that pay?
I think it was 10-20.
Nice.
Luckily, before we were talking here, I put 20 across on the horse.
Look at you.
Well, I forgot all about it. And he texted me. He goes, "Well, I hope you bet my horse." And I went, "I did." I go, "The fact that you're texting me obviously means a good thing." So
that's great.
Yeah. So
that's tremendous.
That was we have no slouches on here, Steve. We only good information. They don't make the cut. And I wanted to say one thing, as you mentioned about Brad and the juveniles. There's a piece of his in the form, either today in today's edition or yesterday's edition that lists trainer by trainer.
The 2-year-old to watch column that Jay Pridman popularized.
Yeah. So hit the print button on that and stick it on the bulletin board. So because somewhere during the meet, one of those horses is gonna come up and you'll be able to cash it. So I'm sure Brad's gonna go over it, but it's nice to have it handy.
The from yesterday, let me slip in a quick review, and then we got to get to Nick. I do not want to. I really don't want to fall behind today. Yesterday, it's funny. Yesterday, that's actually, what am I doing? Is that Wednesday? There we go. I'm losing track of days, right? Yesterday, again, kind of a straightforward set of races, and you did have a situation going into the nightcap, and I don't know where. I know I did the charting, but I don't know where they are. Going into the nightcap, you could have had a carryover, but the logicals were all covered, and Hey Toby for $5 ended up turning back Very Stormy. Although Very Stormy would have also been a payoff in the pick 6. When it came to the stake, the Stallion Series stake, Big Torpedo just a little too good. That Courtly Bank, I tried to key off of Courtly Banker, who ran very well and tested Big Torpedo, but Big Torpedo turned him away, and at 1-2 ends up winning the stake. Stop Giggling was, I guess, the best price of the day, $28.80 in the second. Good just a good midweek card, and with the turf back aboard, same thing today, as mentioned. All right, let's get Nick in here, and
the line maker of the country. Nick doing great. We just
well, and actually, Nick is telling me he just got called into a meeting, so I'll flip flop. I'm going to flip flop with Brad. All right, because Brad knew. Yeah. All right. Nick telling me give him a few minutes. All right. So we'll go to. We'll be all right. That's fine. And Brad Free appreciates the first set call anyway.
He's up early.
It's funny because a lot of times, and I'm sure he'll explain what his travel plan was. And Brad, Rick Hammerly's here with us, and I was just about to say, traditionally, when I would reach for you to get started on Del Mar, the day before the meet would be your travel day from Los Angeles down, and I wondered how this unusual Saturday affected you.
Yeah, no. Good morning, guys. Steve, Hammer, how you guys doing? Listen. This is the time of year where it's the busiest time of the entire season. The summer meet at Del Mar, and the fact that the meet is opening on a Saturday is actually going to postpone my arrival at Del Mar by one day. I'm going to take a pass on opening day, work from home that day, and let the crowds kind of filter through and all the circus atmosphere get through, and then I'll be down there on Sunday morning. But looking forward to this terrific summer season. 8 weeks of top class racing. Some good 2-year-olds are coming out. We have some terrific grass racing. In fact, grass is kind of the theme over opening weekend. And I'll be down there on Sunday morning, and looking forward to diving into some big fields and some huge competitive cards on both Saturday and Sunday.
Now that's a veteran move right there. right. I mean, opening day is great for a lot of people, but if you're not set up, you're going right into the belly of the beast there. And we've enjoyed plenty of opening days, right, at our time. But a Saturday opening day could be nutso, traffic, everything.
Well, yeah. It's going to be nuts. And listen, opening day is a lot of fun. It really is. But it's not for me this year anyway. You can kind of just sense the enthusiasm. We're in a new market, the San Diego market for the first time since last fall. After being in Los Angeles, where it's been 100 degrees for a good portion of this early summer season. So it's a fun atmosphere at Del Mar. The racing is good. The crowd is lively. Everybody's out having a good time. It's expensive to go to the races at Del Mar in summer, but it's worth it. I mean, it's just a good, fun atmosphere backed up by the most important thing, and that is some very good racing on which to gamble.
And Brad, on that front, you mentioned turf, and of course it's a turf heavy program, particularly for the 3-year-olds. There's really not a pronounced dirt program for 3-year-olds. So we'll get a little bit of that. We of course start the weekend with races like the Oceanside and the Wicker and so forth. But I do want to start with the long-running daily racing forum, 2-year-olds to watch, because you and Dave Grenning now handling those responsibilities, and invariably there's obvious horses like Nooney, but there's also horses that people probably had not heard about until they read the column.
Yeah, it's really a fun story to dive into every summer. I think Jay Pribman was the previous author of the 2-year-old story going into summer. With his retirement, I took it on, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work to go through and scour through the sales and the workout tabs and talk to trainers and find out who is likely for an early start this summer with 2-year-olds. But it's also we can get a lot of good, hopefully some decent information from some of these guys that train these good 2-year-olds. Of course, Baffert is the top 2-year-old trainer in California. He's won the Del Mar Futurity 17 times and the Debutante 10 times. He has a deep stable, but he's not the only guy with 2-year-olds out there. He has some good ones running on opening weekend, Baffert does. But there are some other guys that have some very good 2-year-olds, Phil D'Amato, Richard Mandela, Michael McCarthy. I was shocked to learn that last summer at Del Mar, Michael McCarthy won more races with 2-year-olds than Baffert did. McCarthy won 8 races with 2-year-olds. Baffert won 7. Yeah, I was stunned. I rechecked my work. I said, that can't be right. It turns out it is right. And when you look back on it and consider it, it's really not that surprising. McCarthy, who went out on his own, about 10 years ago, has gradually built up one of the strongest stables in California. And as his reputation has grown, so has the quality of his stock improved. And so McCarthy is ended up running, potential future stakes horses in maiden races. He's getting good stock, expensive stock, and they're firing first time out. I think he won with 5 first-time starters last summer, McCarthy did. And he's loaded again this summer. He said his 2-year-olds came in a little bit later than normal. It might be more toward the middle or end of the meet, but McCarthy is loaded. John Sheriffs has a bunch of good ones. Again, Baffert typically wins the grade ones at the end of the season, but getting there is really half the fun. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch these 2-year-olds develop. There's a good 2-year-old race on Saturday, opening day, the second race of the meet. Baffert sends out a son of Curlin going 5 furlongs against Doug O'Neill trained Dr. Ruben M. So these 2-year-old races are fun to watch and kind of, project who's going to be, the potential future stars. And there's going to be one or more this summer at Del Mar. In fact, just going through the history books, 15 Breeders' Cup Juvenile winners actually ran in summer at Del Mar before they won the Breeders' Cup, and 12 Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. There have been, in the same time period over the last 40 years, 8 horses who won the Kentucky Derby the following spring actually campaigned as 2-year-olds in summer. So this is the time where you can bet on what's right in front of you, but can you also kind of, project how these horses might do going forward as the distances increase. That's to me one of the most fun aspects of summer, watching the 2-year-olds develop and find out who's going to end up in the Breeders' Cup at the end of the year.
Well, and of course, the Breeders' Cup coming right back to Del Mar this fall and next year, and so horses that break their maidens or horses that show some ability over the 2 surfaces and circle back toward Breeders' Cup, get extra marks. We should probably also include, you mentioned tomorrow's second race. Then on Sunday, it's the fillies get their first debut in the 4th. That includes the $775,000 Cassaloo for Pegram, Watson, and Whiteman. The red and yellow for Baffert. And we should also include, I want to throw some names at you, Brad, because Hammer's face will light up when we talk about the 8th race on Sunday. Here's the Calbred Maidens and Louis Mendez, not to be ignored ever.
No, and Hammer was one of the first guys to actually identify that. Louis Mendez is a terrific trainer. He's a really good guy also. He does a wonderful job training the horses that are generally purchased by John Brocklebank. All those 2-year-olds that the Mendez Brocklebank outfit runs are for sale. They run them, and they run well, and then they're sold. That's how these guys make their money. The Calbred race on Sunday is a really good race. 14 entrants. They can run up to 10. And although, Mendez is represented in the race by Style Cat, there's a first-time starter in race 8 on Sunday that I'm very intrigued by. And her name is, I shuffled through my stack of papers. His name is originally by Nyquist, and his name is Nice Going, trained by Doug O'Neill, owned and bred by Paul Redham. And this horse has looked really, really good in morning workouts. Viewed on xptv.com. And I think the Nice Going under jockey Mario Gutierrez is going to come out firing. It's only a 5 furlong race. You want to have somebody with speed. Nice going, showed some gas from the gate in his July 14th workout. And he looks like he's live first time out. Louis Mendez has I'm a Bad Boy, who's likely to be one of the favorites. He finished a promising third in his career debut. And then Peter Miller has a second-time starter drawn right inside I'm a Bad Boy by the name of Style Cat. He's a sibling to a couple of stakes winners. I thought he ran a kind of a sneaky good fourth in his debut. It looked like it was not really a super go first time out. Kind of gained some seasoning, stayed inside, finished evenly, got beat 2.5 lengths. He should move up second time out. Style. In race 8, it's Calbreds going 5 furlongs, Calbred 2-year-old maidens. I like the first time starter, nice going, and I'm very interested to see what price morning winemaker Jeff Siegel makes nice going, because I think this Richling is well met in his debut on Sunday.
Hey, Brad, you mentioned Peter Miller, and I think, or you can. I'll ask you this. You think I think he's been playing a little bit of possum there at the end of Santa Anita, because he points for this meet, and what he's won, I think he's had a few titles, right, in the last 4 or 5 years. But I
believe he has. Peter Miller is based near Del Mar at San Luis Rey Downs. It's the closest training facility to Del Mar. And over the years, Miller's second start maidens generally run a lot better. And it looked to me like just watching the tape of Style Cat's debut suggested that we're just giving him a race, excuse me, schooling, getting some education, and then the second time out is supposed to be a go. So I think that Style Cat is super live second time out, and you're right. Miller was giving some horses some races, and again, second start maidens trained by Miller obviously improved. In fact, you can see it right in his past performances, the past performances for Style Cat. Maiden second start, 25% and a $2.41 ROI per $2. So the Miller second start maidens are, generally speaking, ones that you've got to take a second look at.
Yeah, I just was perusing. I want to give everybody something you might not have access to it. It depends on your subscriptions to DRF.com, but the Winner's Book, which basically is a compendium of results from the previous calendar year or the previous meets, and I invariably you also can get this in the Saratoga or the Del Mar betting guide each summer, and that is the charting and the results from the previous summer. And, condition books, Hammer, you can talk to this, condition books at places like Saratoga and Del Mar and Oaklawn and Keeneland, those condition books don't change a lot. And so there's races that every horseman knows are going to be in the first 2 weeks of these meets, and they start planning for it. And so if you go through the Winner's Book and you find horses that were 8, 9, 10, 12 to 1, make a note of the condition. There's some maiden 50s. There's some state-bred. Mendez hit for 20 with a state-bred turf sprint. Bob Hess was I can recall hitting early the last couple of years as well for big double digits. There's certain patterns, Brad, that just are indelible.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and that kind of goes back to one of my favorite handicapping books that I've ever read. I think it was a tremendous addition to the overall handicapping library. Is Handicapper's Condition Book, written decades ago by handicapping author Jim Quinn, one of my all-time favorites. And what the premise of the Handicapper's Condition Book was this: certain races are won by certain types of horses. So when you go back and study what types of horses win, say, the Best Pal Stakes for 2-year-olds in the midsummer at Del Mar, well, the last 6 Best Pal winners were coming off debut maiden victories. Those types of studies that Quinn talks about in Handicapper's Condition Book is kind of exactly what you're referring to, looking back through the Winner's Book at DRF.com. Certain guys win certain races at Del Mar, and certain types of horses win certain types of races at Del Mar. There's 2 stakes races on Sunday, the Osanitas Stakes and the Wicker Stakes. They're both turf miles, one for fillies and mares, one open to either gender. And looking through the recent history of the Osanitas and Wicker, these are 2 races that are complete and total raffles. You get horses that pay $20, $30, $40, $50, $60. Both those stakes races, favorites are only 2 for 10 in the last 10 years, obviously. And those are the types of studies that I think are valuable to horse players to determine what situations might be more trend toward chaos than predictability. And those 2 stakes races on Sunday are included in that mix. The Osanitas and Wicker, 2 races with a recent history of just one long shot winner after another.
And what you were talking about, I think it shows up more in meets like a Keeneland or like a Del Mar. They're short, not a lot of stuff going in. I was talking about today. Tomorrow's card, there's not a horse on there that's had to work over the track, which invites anything to happen on the dirt course, especially. And you mentioned the Wicker and the Osanitas. Those races will run early in the meet again. And I was talking about turf form at Santa Anita doesn't necessarily carry over to Del Mar. Some horses just don't like it, and I think that's what probably lends to that. You have some hot turf horses coming into the Wicker. They look like they're doing good, and poof, they just don't run well down there at Del Mar.
Well, it's a completely different turf course, and the late runners have a better chance to win at Del Mar than they do at Santa Anita. And I'm not going to say that the Santa Anita turf is speed, pro speed. I'm not going to say there's a bias. But what I will say is this: deep closers win with regularity at Del Mar. They win with less regularity on the turf course at Santa Anita. And that's one of the things that, we have to kind of retrain yourself when a new meet such as Del Mar opens up and you see, this horse, he went wire to wire in fast time at Santa Anita. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen at Del Mar. The courses, to me anyway, visually look the same. They're both, relatively tightly cropped, but it just time and time again, turf route winners at Del Mar rally from the back half of the field with more regularity than they do during the Santa Anita meet. And surprisingly, that is also true for 5 furlong turf races at Del Mar, at least when the rails are down. The rails are down this weekend. I picked a closer in an early turf sprint. I think it's on Saturday. And they're only going 5 furlongs. You think, well, who wants to bet on a closer going 5 furlongs on turf at Del Mar? Well, last summer it was either 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6. Rails at 0 turf sprints were won by a horse rallying from the back half of the field. So the idea that speed wins all Del Mar turf sprints is just inaccurate. They can win from anywhere going 5 furlongs on turf, and around 2 turns, I would generally lean toward a horse who can blast home like a true grass horse on a true grass course where late speed is the winning ticket.
Brad Free joining us on the Del Mar Eve and opening weekend. The cards both outstanding. Brad, let's touch on a couple of opportunities and a couple of thoughts. Jeff Franklin was away, so we didn't do the win using Thorograph session yesterday, but I did send the San Clemente PPs out to everybody with the Thorograph figures. You and I both are big TG fans, and I can maybe utilize a little of your process with some opinion in the San Clemente.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the fastest horse in the San Clemente, according to Thorograph anyway, is Ice Cream You Scream, who earned a 7 1/4 last time out. The problem or the challenge, I guess, that she faces in the San Clemente is that Ice Cream You Scream has never run long. She's only started twice. She won both sprints at Santa Anita by open lengths, and she ran fast last time out and was visually impressive through the lane. She's the fastest horse going into the San Clemente. Ice Cream You Scream, trained by Phil D'Amato. Medoro is not as fast as Ice Cream You Scream, but Medoro has never lost. She's 4 for 4, and she is repeatedly proven around 2 turns. She won her career debut going 5 furlongs on turf at Del Mar last December, and she followed with 3 subsequent 2-turn turf stakes win. So she's 4 for 4 going in. She's not as fast on numbers as Ice Cream U Scream, but she has that proven form. She's fresh. She's training well. And Maduro, the 8-5 favorite, is going to fire first start back. But Ice Cream U Scream is very dangerous. She's listed as the 3-1 second choice on Siegel's morning line. And if she can stay 2 turns, and she's by Twirling Candy out of a cozy mare, so there's no reason why she won't. Trainer Phil D'Amato believes that she will. So do her exercise riders and Antonio Frisu, who rode her last time out. They all say that she will run long, Ice Cream U Scream. So fastest horse in the race, but running long for the first time is Ice Cream U Scream. I prefer Maduro just because she's fresh and established around 2 turns. But these 2 fillies are both very good, and those are the 2 main players in the San Clemente.
I'm going to mention one horse that, and certainly Maduro with that. There's a very interesting pattern for those of you that are looking at the page right this minute. That slight improvement in the win last time, down to a 9.5. That's just enough improvement to augur for even better to come. So Maduro, yes, off a little bit of the layoff, but that happens to be a Peter Urton specialty. Clicks at 21% off about 60 to 180 days. The horse I want to bring up, and I'm going to do it because it gives me a chance to talk about Leo Powell, who is absolutely a guy that, despite all his success, Brad and Hammer, because Hammer's face lit up, it still is underknown.
No doubt about it. I mean, to me, he's one of the best kept secrets in California. I love to wager on his horses, and he has a 20-1 shot. Sakura Blossom, she's probably in a little bit tough, but at that price, you some potential imperfections. She ran second last time out in the Grade 3 Honeymoon. That was the race of her career so far. For Sakura Blossom on Saturday at Del Mar, the problem is they're cutting back from 1 1/8 to 1 mile. And Sakura Blossom wants every bit of a longer distance. 1 mile might be too short for her. Again, at 20-1, you can overlook something like that. But she's going to be running late over a turf course that generally is kind to blast home closers, and she's sharp right now. She's in good form. Enters the San Clemente off a good runner-up finish last time out. And if you're looking for a bomb to upset the favorites, you could do worse than Sakura Blossom. She fits here, but again, the distance is too short, and I believe that Powell thinks the same thing.
Well, I'm going to use her no matter what. At the very least, she's a terrific reverse tri-key horse, the kind of horse that is picking them up late, just like in the Honeymoon. If she picks up a share on the bottom of this at a big number, she can help your ticket. But I also think the mile, she's going to get a pace set up. And let's take this opportunity to talk about Armando Ayuso.
Well, he's a good journeyman rider, and he's kind of making his inroads to the colony here in Southern California. This colony has a lot of names. Hernandez, Rispoli are up near the top, but Ayuso is gradually getting into some of these top barns. Barrios is not riding Sakura Blossom; he's riding Ice Cream U Scream in the San Clemente, and that allows Ayuso to pick up the mount, for Leonard Powell. He's a good, solid rider. Ayuso is in a colony that's pretty deep right now, and he's picked up a live one with Sakura Blossom. If he can stay out of trouble, she's going to be rolling late at a big number.
Well, that's for those of us that are doing the win using Theragraph. This is the kind of horse that is just jumps off the page, is absolutely as fast. For instance, she's just as fast as Maduro.
Yeah, she is. Sakura Blossom got a 9 1/4 last time out. Maduro got a 9 1/2. On Thorograph, lower is better. So Sakura Blossom theoretically ran faster, finishing second in the Honeymoon, than Maduro did winning the Providencia. We're splitting hairs here, and we're talking about a 20-1 shot. So Sakura Blossom, an interesting horse at a price coming from out of the clouds.
I'm going to throw one more horse in at you. I don't have the morning line on the 9 horse Zona Verde.
8-1.
8-1. Now this is one that needs to run a little bit better, but I like her record at Del Mar. She's 2 for 2. She's a graded stake winner at Del Mar, and the mile's not a problem. She's been running with Maduro all along, running against some nice fillies. She's had a little bit of a break. She just needs to improve a little bit, to me, to be there. And when they pick up Mr. Hernandez as well, perennial leading rider for the last few years, that one was one I put a little star by to use underneath as well.
Well, there's no doubt about it. In fact, Hammer, I picked Zona Verde as my third preference behind Doro and Ice Cream, You Scream. Zona Verde has been purposely freshened specifically for this race. And as you mentioned, that Del Mar quarter, 2 starts on the Del Mar turf, 2 wins, that speaks volumes. Horses who run well at Del Mar, I know this sounds, so conspicuously obvious, but we see it year after year after year. Horses who run well at Del Mar, they tend to run well again the next time they come to South. So with a 2 for 2 record over the Del Mar turf course, freshened by Phil D'Amato, Juan Hernandez aboard, Zona Verde, to me, is the most likely upsetter if Maduro and or Ice Cream, You Scream get beat. Zona Verde at odds of 8-1, first start since early April. I think she is super live in her comeback over a turf course she loves.
Brad Free joining us. Brad, let's back it up to the annual first stake of the meet, the Oceanside, and these are so much fun. The Oceanitas is the companion race on Sunday. Hammer and I were talking about this yesterday. These non-winners of a sweepstakes at Saratoga, the Curlin today, non-winners of a graded sweepstake. They're always fun. You get horses coming off layoffs. You get horses that had delayed starts to their year, horses that have been nibbling in good company. So it always makes for a terrific, well-mixed hand.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Oceanside Stakes is race number 7 on Saturday. The San Clemente is race number 9. And in the Oceanside Stakes, the morning line favorite is stretching out for the first time in the U.S. King of Gosford, listed as the 5-2 favorite. He's 3 for 3 in the U.S. All 3 races were sprints. Well, Phil D'Amato won the Oceanside a year ago with a horse named Conclude, who had a pattern very similar to King of Gosford. Stretching out from sprints, he's fast on numbers, and he should be able to stay a mile, King of Gosford. Having said that, he's my third preference, and maybe I'm seeing things here, but I picked a couple of there are long shots on the morning line. Whether they end up as long shots is a different story, but I don't really understand why Scatify, should be listed at 8-1. His numbers are good. He can run on grass. His only start on grass, this is the son of Justify, trained by John Sadler, was a runner-up finish in a turf sprint at Santa Anita, in which he probably was best. He was buried through most of the lane and lost by less than a length. Last time out, he chased Parenting in the Affirm Stakes. Back on turf, no, Bob Baffert trained superstars to deal with in the Oceanside Stakes. And I think that Scatify, to me, is the most probable winner of the race. He can go long, he can handle turf, he's versatile, and I think that he's the right horse. He's listed at a surprising 8-1. And then number 6, We're in Trouble, who defeated Older last time out in a downhill sprint. And that's not easy to do for a 3-year-old in June to defeat older allowance horses in only the second start of his career. We're in Trouble is a very good, promising horse. He's only started twice, and we don't know if he can run long yet. But at 10-1, he's going to be on all my tickets for sure. So I kind of like Scatify at 8-1. We're in Trouble at 10-1, with nothing but respect for the fastest horse in the race, and Siegel probably tapped the correct favorite. King of Gosford off that 7 3/4 last time out on Thoroughgraph. He enters as the fastest horse with a 3 for 3 record in the U.S., and if he can go 2 turns, he can certainly win this race. But it's an interesting stakes race. This race is won historically by comebackers, droppers, horses who just missed last time out against better. it's kind of an eclectic stakes race in which virtually anything goes. But King of Gosford, Scatify, and We're in Trouble, to me, are the three principals in the Oceanside.
I'll only ask one question, and I completely agree with everything you laid out. Simplicity on the outside, first-time North America, first-time 3-year-old for Dan Blacker, who has done well with new stock in the barn, and 3 for 8 with a positive ROI the last year and a half. And Blacker, who's back and frankly back with a vengeance. And I'm curious about Simplexity, who I think will end up being a pretty bulbous price.
Well, he's listed at 30-1. He's listed as the first-time gelding. I'm always a little hesitant to make that statement with these Europeans, but Simplexity, I talked to Blacker early this week, and at the time when I spoke with him, he wasn't sure if he was going in the Oceanside or if he was going to wait for an allowance race. I guess the fact that he's in the Oceanside can probably be interpreted as a positive sign as opposed to the allowance. But he's drawn outside. He's making his first start since October. He's never run beyond 6 furlongs on turf. There's a lot of questions to answer. And I think there's some very good horses in the Oceanside. There are no endlesslies in this field, but there are some good ones in here. Scatify, We're in Trouble, Formidable Man, King of Gosford. Those are all proven, established, stakes quality horses. Again, I'm not talking anybody off a 30-1 shot Simplexity, but from where I sit, it seems like he is in tough in the Oceanside.
It just strictly a Blacker, new stock Blacker angle.
By the way, just speaking of Blacker, I'm really looking forward to watching his good sprinter, Straight No Chaser,
right.
a week from Saturday. Straight No Chaser against the Chosen Vron in the Grade 1 Bing Crosby. I think it's a win in your end for the Breeders' Cup Sprint, I think. Anyway, 2 very good sprinters. Blacker's best horse in his barn is Straight No Chaser, training super for his second start back. And I think Straight No Chaser is going to give the Chosen Vron a run for his money a week from tomorrow.
You mentioned right at the end there, Formidable Man, and I wanted to dig a little bit deeper in here. This is, you mentioned endlessly. That's obviously Michael McCarthy, same trainer. This horse was in the Midwest for his last couple of starts. Got beat, finished second in the American Turf. Threw in a little bit of a clunker last time, which I like, which will make the odds go up a little bit. But this is a 2-time winner and a winner over the course as well. So I think Formidable Man is going to sit fine in that 2-hole and just be able to kind of follow the action around and make a move. I don't. What's his price on the program?
He's the Formidable Man is listed at 9-2, and I agree. And I believe that I think that the alibi for his most recent start was that he did not care for the Churchill Downs turf course, which is interesting because he ran so well 2 starts back over the very turf course. But he has an alibi for his most recent start. He's not facing any superstars on Saturday in the Oceanside. And Formidable Man, he ranks among the top 4 choices.
Brad, before we go, the maiden race that is sandwiched between the 2 stakes, and Miramati, who was sent to Pimlico and steamed in at even money, and then had to fly home with a minor award. And now there's all kinds of other parties that are knocking on the door, including other Bafferts and the aforementioned Dan Blacker, who's in here with a pair, Brave Blend and Spearfish. Wayne the Brain came up yesterday, the Matoli from Marquette. There's a few things going on here. What are you doing in that maiden race?
Yeah, this is a good race. I mean, you don't see too many Grade 1 placed horses running in maiden races as 3-year-olds, but Miramati, he placed last summer at Del Mar in the Del Mar Futurity race won by Prince of Monaco. And Miramati is making his first start since May. He broke slowly from the rail in that comeback race. He was heavily favored and he kind of misfired. Baffert backed off. He's breezing super. He's got a whole bunch of bullet workouts. I think Miramati is the horse to beat. But Santorina, he runs the same race every single time. You very rarely see a horse in his first 4 starts run the exact same thoroughbred figure. Santorina 7.5 each of his 4 starts. That's generally fast enough to win a maiden race. Santorina is listed as the 9-5 favorite. Miramati 2-1 second choice. Those two are both good. But the first-time starter, Mark Glatt, by the way, trains Santorina, and he also trains first-time starter Wayne the Brain, who has worked very, very well for his career debut. And Glatt is a guy who is winning with regularity with first-time starters. So I got to believe that Wayne the Brain is the kind of the new face that could potentially give Miramati and Santorina a battle. But it's a good, solid maiden race for 3-year-olds and up.
Well, the Del Mar season kicks off tomorrow, and it starts with a bang. Sunday, outstanding as well. You got anything from Sunday? You pick a best bet yet?
Yeah, I have, actually, and it's not very creative. I expected to see Exalted running in the Wicker Stakes on Sunday, and I was listening to the draw yesterday afternoon, and they drew the Wicker, and there was no Exalted in the field. And one of the jocks agents asked one of the racing officials, this was on a conference call, where is Exalted? Why is he not in the Wicker? And the racing official said, well, he entered the 3 other van. So Exalted, a grade 1 winner, is in the first race on Sunday. It's a 3 other van classified turf mile. His second start back from a layoff, he misfired in his recent comeback. It was at Churchill Downs over turf course he did not care for at all. But Exalted taking a class drop to over a course on which he has run well. And I think Exalted in race 1 on Sunday, he's very, very close to being a slam dunk at a likely short price. He has to face comebacker Bran in race number 1. So Exalted's going to be tough to beat, in my opinion, in race 1 on Sunday.
And now, Brad, that's a veteran move for a trainer to do that. To take a deep breath, and you know what? He's got that condition. Let's take it. Let's, hopefully get a nice, easy race in him, get a little confidence back. And obviously, if that works out, he'll be in a stake next time, a graded stake.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to be said about a horse gaining confidence by winning a race. This is a race that Exalted should win. It should do his confidence wonders. And, this is the horse. He was the top turf miler in California in spring of 2023. So if he gets back in form, and he's 70 years old, so there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. But he was trained exceptionally well since his return, and I think Exalted is, if he wins this allowance race, I think we'll probably see him in a graded stakes race next time out. I know they would love to get back to the Breeders' Cup. He was expected to run in the Breeders' Cup mile last fall. He did not enter. Whether he either did not enter or was told not to enter by the vets is a different topic. But anyway, he's back. He's training well, and he's still lightly raced as a 7-year-old. He's only started 17 times. Exalted should win race number 1.
Number 1 visit of the Del Mar season with Brad Free. Brad, have a great meet. We'll check in, I hope, regularly.
Sounds good, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Brad Free won, everybody, on Twitter. Not that Brad's a big Twitter guy. He's much bigger in the pages of America's Turf Authority, the Daily Racing Forum.
1894.
1890. No.
I never get that right.
No, maybe it is right. America's Turf Authority since 1890. Yeah, 1894. That sounds right. That sounds right. But the popular answer.
What Marty's answer?
Since Marty McGee was in short pants. That's the official J. Privman.
And I corresponded with Marty the other day. He's enjoying life on the lake.
Nice, because you said, you wanted to reach out. All right, we're going to reach out. Nick, let's see if Nick. What did Nick say? He's not clear yet, I guess. All right, Marcus Hirsch will be here in 10, 15 minutes. So let's go to TO. We'll go to Toronto and we'll check in with Ron Gierkink. First time this month as we inch closer to the King's Plate. It'll be my first King's Plate, and I'm excited. I've been there for the Woodbine Mile, but not for a plate. And they certainly got a terrific card for the plate trial and for the Woodbine Oaks, which is as viable a prep for the plate as anything. Ron Gierkink, good morning. Yep. I don't. Well, try that again, Ronnie. Huh. All right. Let's see. I'm not sure what. I don't know why that didn't go.
There's a communication breakdown
No,
going
no,
on
it
out
just-
there
it was like
somewhere.
it hooked up, but then there was nothing. I don't know. I've had over the every so often we've had. I will say we have had the occasional connection issue. There's Marcus Hirsch. There we go. So we may actually get.
Maybe
right
there was a
into
reason why that didn't go
There
through.
could be actually that. And in fact, let me send Ron a note and see what's going on. In the meantime, we will get Marcus Hirsch to share his Jersey Shore his Jersey Shore experience thus far of the week. I had to switch.
You went
things
here.
Yeah,
Here.
no, you can. That's all
Are we
right.
good?
It's, actually, you know what? That's a good idea.
We'll do the rotate.
Yeah, do that rotation. Let him. Because that way. Yeah, that's a good idea. Because Marcus will do the lion's share of the talking. Marcus, welcome back to Monmouth Park.
Pleased to be here.
We're in store for a not just tomorrow, because I see that you're as interested and excited about Bookham Dano versus Little Knee as anybody.
Well, I don't know about that. Who have you pulled?
Eddie Owens and Derek Ryan.
I don't know how interested Derek Ryan is. I assume he believes he's going to win. He already beat C Streak. last year, right?
C Streak's not Little Knee.
He's better, right? C Streak is better.
He's different. He's a different horse. Different kind of horse.
So you think Little Knee is going to post the upset?
I think Little Knee is. I think Little Knee is a serious horse.
Okay.
Not that Bookham Dano isn't. By any, it's actually kind of fun that there's a matchup of this ilk here as a prequel to Saturday.
I mean, I'm glad they're running here. Bookham Dano, that is. I know he was considering the Troy and the Amsterdam as well, but why not run out of his own stall? Some New Jersey owners, I know it's $100,000 race, but it's not always about the money right in front of you, right?
True. The major activity, of course, is on Saturday. And let's dive into that. The storylines I did see where an hour ago I just retweeted colleague Dave Grenning that Todd Pletcher has banned Mindframe and Tuscan Sky down here, but he does have a van. And because of the rules here where you don't have to be on the grounds tonight, if anything happens, if Mindframe wakes up on the wrong side of the stall, they could still send Fierceness down here tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Dornock is here.
Yeah, with Derek, right?
With
Derek
Derek,
Ryan
yes.
bedded him down.
There you go. Okay, well, I thought Pletchers were coming in Saturday, but I guess not.
That according to
Tom
Dave.
Tom just said that they're on their way.
Yeah, Dave tweeted it about an hour ago.
Maybe they're coming like via Chicago, and we'll get here tomorrow.
With the plane
Well,
situation,
let me tell you, on a Friday,
Yeah.
coming from Perth Amboy to here could take 2 hours.
That's a great point.
Right. It could take longer tomorrow too. So they're probably
Right?
Probably smart getting on the road.
Marcus, your thoughts about how this first of all, how it shaped up, and then some expectations.
Shaped up pretty well.
I thought so too.
No, I mean, actually really well. I just don't understand the need to put in these no-hopers. I hope they don't run because nothing good can come of that. Because C-Streak is fine. I'm fine with him being in the race. His Long Branch was quite good. And, he merits a spot in this field off of that. I think you got some serious other horses. What's your feeling on Tuscan Sky?
I loved Tuscan Sky early in the year, and to the point where I invested in a future wager on him, and I think there's
a Pegasus future wager.
Unfortunately, it was a Kentucky Derby future wager. The Wood Memorial fiasco scuttled that, and he regrouped. I think he's a nice horse, and just being by Vino Rosso kind of hints at, to me as second half 3-year-old, 4-year-old, kind of fulfillment.
Did you watch his last race?
I saw it live.
Okay, weird race, huh?
Yes, it was.
He didn't really want to be on the lead, it didn't look like, but then was left with kind of no choice. So is he going to go for the lead in this race? Will he be ahead of how's the race going to shape up, Steve? That's what we want to know.
Well, that, again, posted down inside, not that this is the Derby, but, the expectation is that Saez has got to at least get early position with Dornoch.
He's got to go, doesn't
right?
he?
Of course he does.
I think he'll be on the lead. The question is, how close will these other horses be? Who will be in front, ahead, going into the turn? Mindframe or Tuscan Sky in front of one another? Tough one, huh?
It is a tough one, and I
think they'll be sending C-Streak after he got hung out completely. I mean, he was, 6 wide around the first turn last
crazy.
time.
It was very strange.
From an outside draw, they will definitely not want that to be happening again. More likely that they would go forward than to take back. He does have speed. Timberlake has a touch of speed. I doubt that it will be deployed, but I can't see Mr. Pletcher with 2 horses who do have some pace letting Dornoch coast along in front. One of those 2 will be making sure that he is setting an honest pace.
I think that's fair, and certainly the way Mindframe ran, the from the outside and having to find position in the Belmont.
Do you like this horse?
I know you love him, and you were not wrong. I
was wrong.
Not really. I was against him going into the Belmont. It just seemed like a bridge too far too soon. But he ran very, very well, and I respect him.
I truly believe he would have won the race if he hadn't gone to the crop a second time. Fair?
Yeah, that is because right.
And I'm not blaming Ortiz. I mean, I wrote a feature about this horse that's in today's Daily Racing Form, America's Turf Authority.
Since
I got it sometime in the 19th century.
we just had a
bad with numbers.
We just laughed about it
with years. I got the right century, right?
Use the easy answer since Marty McGee was in short pants.
That's your line. I can't steal that from you.
It was Bribs.
Okay. Anyway, part of what he gave him a left-handed crop in his debut just to school him to see what it would be like to run in a real race. He was jogging at the time, and then he didn't stick him in the Churchill race at all. Hands and heels, eased to the wire in case they were going to run in the Preakness, which obviously they didn't. And then the first time he went to the crop in the Belmont, didn't phase him at all. Second time, I think that cost him everything. He had a chance to get back on track, but I think that's where his lack of complete 100% race fitness, race hardness, because he had just those 2 easy races. He's a big, heavy horse. He carries a lot of condition on him. And Ortiz said this, and it seems to make perfect sense to me, that having a hard race like that, and it was a hard race, is really going to help this horse. And I think he has more levels defined. I love his physical. I don't see him train every day. His works are outstanding to me. Not a fierceness kind of worker, because that's just not how he goes about his business, which is better. It's almost better for him. He gets plenty out of his drills. His half-mile work last weekend was absolutely under hammerlock, which says to me that he's coming into this in great shape. I don't think he's going to lose. But last time was the time to bet him. He was 5-1. I thought that was a great price.
It was.
And he is not going to be a great price in this race. I mean, maybe Dornoch's just a better horse, Maybe he's a huge value. Maybe Timberlake is the right horse. I believe that Connections have a very strong sense that he is going to rebound, that there was a specific situation that contributed to his going off form in the Arc Derby. That said, I liked the Champagne. I thought his Breeders' Cup was fine. I just don't know that he has the baseline ability of a Mind Frame.
But like Mind Frame last time, this is the time to bet him.
Correct. If you like him.
If you like coming off the layoff.
Correct. To me, he's the value of the race, right?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at last night. I go, 8-1. If you're going to go now, because he'll run a decent race, and next time he'll be 2-1. I totally agree with that.
I doubt he'll be that high a price. Seriously doubt. Well, there you go. Who's your pick, Steve?
I honestly
step on it.
I just step on it. I hadn't
Just step in it.
I didn't officially.
You don't have to. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I've got affection for Tuscan Sky, but Mind Frame's the now horse. He's what can you say?
I think it'll be the best dirt route horse in the country by the end of the year.
Well, I asked you that question coming off the half year break, and that's where you gravitated, and it's probably the smart money.
Because you have to look at him. He's got 3 starts. He's got a lot of air above him that he can get better. And whether Dornoch has peaked or not, but I keep looking at Dornoch and looking at him. I mean, he's won 4 out of 8 races. His best race has been good enough 4 times. And all of his wins have been when he has broken sharply and been up there, and he's going to have to do that again today. But I mean, I got to give this for. I mean, I overlooked him last time, and as a lot of people did at 17-1. I think he's the real deal. I think he can give Mind Frame all he's got.
That's it's a fair assessment about when you say 4 wins, the 2 seconds, and the two off the boards are easily dismissed. I mean, the Derby was a nightmare, and they were dicking around in the bluegrass.
Were they though?
They seemed like they were.
That's what they said.
So, but I mean, that was.
I just thought he was flat out of the gate.
Might have been as well.
I thought it was maybe retrospectively they decided to try to rate him. If you know what I mean.
I do, but I mean that had been a conversation point going into the race that they were going to utilize the opportunity to.
Okay, well, I mean, do you want a horse that won't rate?
Well,
behind horses.
What impresses me about Dornoch is he goes to the front, but he's had horses lapped on him the whole way.
Well, he is very game when he gets in the lead. When he's in front, he's a tough customer.
He's tough to run down on that way. And you just look at him. But did he run his best race last time? And is he going to be able to go forward off of that? Because I think he will have to go forward to hold Mind Frame at bay.
Where are you guys on the speed bias on Belmont Day? On the dirt track.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of talk about it, and Chad Brown was like just really asserting that throughout the 2 days. I think randomized benefited from it, so he would. Other people thought there really was too. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that sold, but maybe it helped carry him along. I do believe his Renson was extremely bias-aided. I don't think there's any question about that.
Well,
I mean, you'll have to watch the races here today and tomorrow, but traditionally this is more of a speed favoring track, of course.
Now, I have not watched closely last week, but generally through this meet, it's not been biased. There have been plenty of days when horses are coming wide off of moderate paces. Through the whole season, it hasn't been that way at all.
Give that smile again. That was great.
That's a real smile.
That was a winner. Yeah. The wife will love that.
I hope so. She's holding down the fort, harvesting the produce, taking care of many 2 pets.
I could see
on the estate.
I could see the 2 of you at farm markets.
We should be running a farm market. We have 4 lots in the city of Chicago. We have quite a large property, and most of it has been turned into the kind of grounds that many Americans would abhor. I don't like grass. I got rid of most of the grass. One whole side is vegetables. I got a fruit orchard in another
Look
corner.
at you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to quit my job basically just to take care of the yard. That's not even talking about the house.
You don't accompany that with Chicago normally, right? A fruit, a
No.
vegetable garden, and that.
Exactly. We have a little oasis in the middle of hell.
Nice.
The funny thing is that we live in a neighborhood called South Shore, we're right next to the lake, 7100 South, and at the time our home was built in 1910, it was flower farms.
Wow.
So we're going back to the
Back
roots,
to nature.
back to the roots of the neighborhood, which has also been Jewish and Irish, flipped many times.
When you say South Shore, where is it exactly?
Do you know where Hyde Park is?
I do.
In University of Chicago,
Yeah.
Museum of Science and Industry.
Okay.
That's at 57th.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
We're at 71st.
Okay.
Follow
Okay.
the lakefront and turn right, then turn left, and you can come visit my the grounds.
We will.
That my wife is so ably tending to.
I love it. Let's back up out of the Haskell to an outstanding United Nations,
Race of the day.
without a doubt.
And I'm not saying that because they are like world-class Grade 1 horses.
It's
up
just a
and down, but
well-matched field.
There are a lot of good horses, and I thought there was a lot to dig into here.
Well,
This is a key race in a lot of sequences. Starts
That's
at
good.
pick 4, in the middle of a pick 5, and
well, it's the final pick 4. There is an all-stakes pick 4 with a $500,000 guarantee, and which they'll blow through.
Sure.
The all-stake is the Wolf Hill, the Monmouth Cup, the UN, and the Haskell.
I mean, I don't see So High losing.
Interesting.
That's a joke. Is he going to run? He's the key to the race.
Because of the pace.
Yeah, if he runs, then Get Smokin's not getting loose. If he doesn't run, then Get Smokin's
Well,
getting loose. And I wanted to like Get Smokin here,
So did I.
even though I know that they've got the Kentucky Downs race surely circled on their calendar the way you ran there last year.
yeah, repeat. Back for the repeat.
I believe I said in my race preview or something, somewhere I wrote that it was worth $1 billion this year. Is that correct?
What was that?
$1 billion? Is that what the purse is on that this year? Did I have that right? Billion with a B. Is Kentucky Downs the home of the first $7 billion races?
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It really is.
Anyway, I actually thought he ran well in his last start, which was clearly just to get him back going again race at wrong surface, wrong distance.
But this works out. The race there is on the 7th of September, so it's a
Goodbridge.
Yeah, perfect.
He had him
for
up
him.
in Canada, and he's coming
Yeah.
back down south.
And
Anyway,
he won't be 19-1 this year
Well,
if he
no.
runs in there. He snuck away last time.
but I don't think he can shake loose from So High if he's running. I thought there were a lot of chances. Principally for me, who's favored? Farbridge?
I had other than
Default?
other than the wide draw. But yeah, they did make him the 4-1 favorite.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of 4-1 favorites. I think that's wishy-washy in most cases. Here, I can totally get behind it. I don't think anyone is going to be shorter than 7-2. I can't really see it. And I like Farbridge. He's fine. I would have liked him a lot. I don't know. I don't want to back him at the price here. I don't know how far he wants to go. Does he want to go quite this far? It looks like he might. He should, maybe, kind of, but does he? And that draw is not good.
No.
That is not a good draw.
No.
And I think he just ran his best race. I thought there was more there. I mean, that the Farbridge Carl Spackler maiden ding dong battle at Gulfstream a couple years ago. That was. I mean, both those horses showed right from the start that they have plenty of ability. And this guy's been a little up and down, had some strange little journeys in his racing career, but he's fine. I see more interesting horses here.
Well, including let's move inside just a couple of notches and talk about Web Slinger, who is coming off that 1 3/8 win and might be well positioned in here.
I don't like him.
You don't.
He got up over Segoy. Segoy is in good form right now after Maker claimed him. But he had just run his best race. I think he kind of ran back to that, but I think there are better horses in here than that. And I think it was the quality of the competition that allowed Web Slinger, who leaves himself too much to do all the time and will always
That's
do so
true.
regardless of the distance, a fairly short stretch here. He will not get there in time.
Well, there is one difference here, and that is the presence of Luis Saez, who may have a tendency to draft in the race more so than
You just
most
can't do
recent
it with
pilots.
this horse. Can't do it with this
All right,
horse. That's
all right.
just who he is. I feel certain of that.
All right.
One thing about what you do, he lives a ton to do. He does fire every time, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy.
Very good horse.
I was happy to see him finally get a win and to see that continue doing.
I was not so happy.
between drinks.
having back Segoy in the
Right,
right.
right. So I got to go back to American Turf Run. I made a very nice score at I'm still a little hoarse from that stretch run there at 20. So I always have to. It's tough to go by him, and it's tough to leave him off the win end. But I mean, he's going to be in the trifecta, but I don't know. I have a question for both you guys. Can Tawny Port win this race?
He can.
Could, I guess.
I like to, of course, you know me, I like to follow Pratt, first time Pratt. He's won for his last 11 starts, which I'm not a big fan of, but I'm going to use him.
I said if I wanted anyone out of the Monmouth Cup, it would be he, but I don't love him.
Yeah.
He could. He can win, though. I think Starting Over can win. I think Starting Over has been absolutely aimed at this race at 11 furlongs by Maker, who has his horses always run well here. This is this horse's distance. This is his race. He's been pointed here for a while, I would say, and I think he's going to run big. He is very limited. I mean, yeah, he fits in the spot, but he is what he is. He has no more to give than what he's already given. I think he will run his best race. I haven't seen the prices yet, and I'm not going to see him until I put my reading glasses on. 10-1 on Dataman.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up.
Can I get a little more than 10-1?
Maybe.
Can I get 14-1?
12.
Yeah.
He's to me, he's really interesting. It feels like he's, ready to make another forward move.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and this may be, he's got obviously the cliffhanger win goes a long way.
Listen,
over the course,
he's going to have to run better than that.
a little bit, yeah, not a lot better.
Oh, really? See, I'm looking at the buyers. I don't have your fancy figures and stuff like that.
Well, no, even using the buyers. I mean, this is a horse. Graham Motion. I mean, look at the healthy development and steady natural progression this horse has made.
I saw flashes early with this horse, but he needed to grow up. I mean, he came back so much better just in his Henry Clark. The thing about the cliffhanger is it was run at a walking pace, and he was last. B, he made a big run to get into position, and then he kind of goofed off at the 8th pole. He tried to lug in a little bit. He lost his focus. He was still passing horses and had momentum, but he didn't really get his feet fully under him until past the 8th pole after the jock got him straightened out. After he did get his feet fully under him and ran straight, he finished like an absolute monster. That was one of the best gallops out that I've seen this year. It was incredible. It's what you want to see from a horse going farther. He's got everything. Like he's value. He's progressive. He's going to like the longer distance. He's got the win over the course, and he's got a trainer who doesn't overmatch his horses.
That's a lot of positive.
It's a lot to like.
So
That's why he's in the weekend game plan.
There you go. Oh, he is. We've got to read the cliff. I still can't get used to the cliffhanger at Monmouth Park because that was a Meadowlands stalwart.
You should be used to it by now.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
You know what?
Been here a while.
Still see it. I just think Meadowlands. But you mentioned something. You said, "Can I get a 10-1 or on this horse?" So this is the race. This is one of the races that you need to do the fixed odds look at, because this is a race with a 4-1 favorite. You're going to see. Now, I happened to do that last year with Therapist. I think he was 14-1 at 14-1. I ended up getting 20-1 on him because I was standing by the machine. If you do the look with the fixed odds here.
Yes,
There might be a time
it
where
could be 23-1
at
for
some
a minute.
point, and you hit the button and you get it. So, like I said, I got lucky and did that last year, and I picked up a few extra bucks. But this type of race is got fixed odds written all over it.
I hear you.
It's a good point. That's one of the that's what it's supposed to be offering. It's a fun group.
You didn't mention Emmanuel there.
Nope, I did not.
And I didn't either. I don't have him, but he's obviously going to take some money. He's got a decent post, and Irad jumps on, but he's not one of my favorites in here.
I'll throw out Adomo just because he won this 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Gets to Torrey.
Mm-hmm.
He was coming late in the Monmouth. He's one of these horses that you just, you gloss over and you think, it's a couple of ticks past midnight, to quote Gary Young.
If he's 8-1, he's definitely a takeout reducer.
Yeah, I mean, he's just funny though. I mean,
I've been following this horse closely.
His whole career?
He ran in the Fairground Stakes in his first start after coming from France.
Yes.
And I remember watching his races in France, and he ran big first time out here. His UN in 2022 was the crowning moment in his racing life.
Yep.
And he will never be getting close to that form again.
Anytime soon.
He is a 6-year-old.
Anytime ever.
I
mean, where do you run a horse like this? You know what I'm saying? Like
here, I mean,
you got to pick you run him for a tag. He's not.
No.
You can't run him for a tag.
No,
you can't find allowance races for him for the most part.
You might. I mean, he's obviously pretty sound. Maybe he may. You know what? We should
Maybe he'll sneak into something.
Maybe he could jump.
Oh, on Saturday, that would be interesting.
Well, no, but I mean, the subsequent
into the apron.
Got to call Sean Clancy. See if you should talk to Chad and to Michael Dubb and Louis Lazanero. Maybe he's got a future as a chaser.
He's more of like a 9 to 10 furlong horse, though. I don't know if he'd want to go 2.5 miles.
Well, the UN and so ultimately you want Data Man.
Oh, I want Data Man.
Yes, you do. All right, we'll stay with this all stake pick 4.
Okay.
The Monmouth Cup, and this was the race that was created for Big Brown, I think, right? Or remember
really that recently,
or it was a Curlin that there was this race was created. Let me look at the history because it was
this race is older than you think.
Well,
yeah, I feel the same way.
There was
knowing specifically.
There was
I remember when it was at the Meadowlands.
Well, no, there was a term.
Monmouth Cup.
Do you remember?
That's good. That was the Meadowlands Cup.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Was it the Monmouth? Is it the Monmouth? There was a race that was created for either Curlin or Big Brown to get him to come here.
That was created for something,
right?
Hmm.
Well,
there's not much to it this year, unfortunately. No. I absolutely do not like the second choice, Tapit Trice. But I mean,
this was the Meadowlands Cup.
It was?
It was the Meadowlands Cup.
Get out.
It was.
No way.
Wow. Yeah. I accidentally had it right.
1977.
That's the only way I'm going to get any historical fact right.
Yeah, it was. It was. That's very funny.
Highland Falls is going to be odds on, and he should win. I don't like the race at all.
I agree.
The problem is there's like pretty much no pace. One of these two horses, Kuchar or Counterspy, one of the two horses could get loose. And if one of those two horses gets loose and it's a slow pace and Highland Falls, he's not going to – this is not a great race for him. He is a total grinder. And I said about the track being relatively fair, sure, but he's going to struggle to get going in time, even against inferior opposition. I think that if you're singling him and pick whatever's, you may be sweating it out. But again, like I can't. To me, if I'm playing the multis, it's an AAC sort of thing.
Funny place for Tapit Trice to return, right?
the thing is,
So what wouldn't be a funny place?
he's been scratched twice already.
Yeah.
He had a quarter crack. He was in the Alashiba. He was in the Blame. He was scratched at both of those. They just need to get him started. I don't know. Maybe he'll surprise me. I don't. I guess he should beat everyone except Highland Falls, and maybe he could beat him too. Again, it's not a good race for me.
I see it as a goofball race as well. You know what? I'm
AMC
looking
is
at the hottest trainer in the land right now,
Louis Linder.
Sarita Bow.
They, they are
stage
desperate. They are obviously, with this pedigree, they are desperate to get a graded stake win for Stage Raider.
And not just because, but this is a second race back. They brought the horse back here to get a race over the track. Doesn't run bad in the Salvador Mile. The rider switch, the rail, the whole deal. I
Sure.
think the horse is well maintained.
I mean,
in a goofball race. 'Cause
yes,
I don't.
a goofball race. I mean, I treat it like Highland Falls should win, but absolutely does not have to win. And if he doesn't, and you don't think Tapit tries, like, because it's all wrong for him, you got to just take your shots, right?
Yes. Kozeris has got number power.
There you go. I mean, take your pick.
And by the way, it was the Monmouth stake that was created for Big Brown.
The Monmouth Stakes.
Yes.
But not the
Not the
Monmouth
Cup.
Not the cup. No.
This was
It was
the
the stake.
Meadowlands Cup.
This is like
That's- yeah.
this is like the
Yeah.
coronation in England. Same thing. Which is
Very
the cup,
similar.
which is the stake. And
Turf Sprint, the start of the All Stakes Pick 4. It's the Wolf Hill. And Hammer sent me some pictures of the old property. And this has got some of the very familiar Mid-Atlantic stalwarts.
and beyond Arzak.
Yeah.
He's a national star.
Yes, he is.
Star is the word advisedly. I didn't cover this race. I didn't have to make full card picks on the day, so I am bowing out of pretending to demonstrate any expertise herein.
All right. Fair enough. Well, you mentioned Arzak, Mike Trombetta, who has become
The king of the turf
He
sprint.
really has. And George Duarte with nothing better, the veteran as well. The
That horse
gelding.
is in great
He's a
form.
nice horse. And it's just fun to have Golden Brown in here. Never a frown with Golden Brown.
Is that on a Hallmark card or something?
It's the
It's a
song.
T-shirt.
The song
Oh,
by the
don't
Stranglers.
know. Don't know it.
You don't know Golden Brown.
I do not. know
I
Golden
will
Brown.
guarantee you the Dead covered Golden Brown.
Guaranteed.
I never heard them sing Golden Brown.
You would love Golden Brown, and you'd love the Stranglers.
It'll be on something today.
Wow, I'm shocked by that.
No,
Wow.
Given your wide musical
Yeah, never heard that.
expertise.
Pretty wild.
Anyway, Arzak is the horse to beat. But Ned Allard, earlier we talked about Leo Powell with Brad Free.
Okay.
I'll make the same point about Ned Allard that I did, and also with Derek Ryan yesterday. Ned Allard has been doing this a long time, and as one of these guys, if you're a big owner and you don't think you're getting enough attention, go send some horses to Ned Allard.
And he won this race 2 years ago.
He's so good.
He's 9 for 38. That's
He's-
24%.
He's so good.
And you know what? I haven't seen Ned Allard since I left here. So when I saw that, I said I was more anxious
Like
to
to
go
say hi to
go
this
say hi
guy.
to Ned. That I haven't. What about
This horse has a chance.
That horse has a chance. Joey O on the rail. I was looking at that one a little bit. Eamon. He's off a little bit.
Needs a huge pace that Eamon is. He absolutely needs a setup.
Yes,
He probably
he
doesn't
does.
get there.
So the horse with the speed, I guess is the 3.
Yeah, off the
I
Brittany
mean,
Russell claim. That's
And obviously they're in here to go for it. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it might ensure.
this horse was very, very fast in his brief heyday. Didn't come back well from
Right.
a layoff, but
But if he lays a sub 44 in here, they could come flying at the end.
that's a good
Chase him,
point.
So that was why I threw the old Eamon in there, because I think there will be something in there. But Arzak are definitely the horse to beat.
Marcus, a quick glance at the matchmaker and the Molly pitcher. And of course, idiomatic here, the people will view as a free square.
It is a free square.
All right, fair enough. And then,
But I mean, free and not free. which is everyone's free square, so you're going to pay in the end. Misty Vale is not running here,
No, running in Sunday in the shoot.
as I believe is the
Just
other,
Catherine.
the Catherine. Yeah. The matchmaker, though, I like somebody here
You used that, right?
in weekend game plan.
Yes, you did.
I did.
I think so.
I did. Because I've been waiting for this Maman June to run back. And here she is. Would prefer there were a little more pace, but, you know, you can't have everything. This is a very interesting horse. They ran her in the Oaks in her second start as a maiden after she got walloped first time out. That is not a bad race in the Oaks. Meeting 10 lengths, but 4th of 9. Considering where she was, I don't think that you can say that Richard Hannon liked her enough or was asked to like her enough to run in the Oaks second time out. But they did think something of this horse, and I trace her career development to this spring when Chad Brown started training her. And since that time, she has done nothing wrong. She lacks pace, but she has a tremendous, tremendous rally. She was just flying at the 8th pole last time. He had an even slower pace than Data Man encountered over this course, and she couldn't really win given the setup. I don't think you could have asked her to finish any faster. The mile and an eighth is going to help this filly, and she will be the C team in the betting for Mr. Brown behind Delahaye and Butte Cachet. Maybe Butte Cachet will come out running and set an honest enough pace. Maybe she won't stop. That's possible. But I think that at the prices, and from what I've seen from her at this meet, Maman June is the horse that I want to back.
It should be every bit, right? A 4-1.
I was surprised
9
that
to
they
2?
made her that low.
Yeah, 9-2 maybe.
You get, Vince Chaminade, that helps your price, right? I have no problem with that jockey. I
No,
think he's
not at all, no.
A fine rider. Brown has been using him regularly at this meet. He doesn't ride that much. He probably should have stuck with Nacho, who was using him on everything, Nacho Correas, but he moved to Tampa this winter. He's winning in a high percentage. He will get the job done on the right horse.
Marcus, before we let you go, speaking of game plan,
Ooh,
I've got to
going north of the border.
Yeah, I got to regroup with Ron Gierkink before we get out today. But you did use the Connaught Cup as a game plan game.
I did. Flag of Honor, 7-5. I see that's another line I hadn't seen. That he could be even lower. He's a good horse. War Bomber to me is a great value in this race. This horse, he might have won the Connaught Cup last year with a better trip. They were leaning on him in the top of the stretch. He didn't find room. He had to dive back inside. Dream Shake got a nice clean run. This horse finished really well. He's a very solid horse. Going 7/8 in a mile on the Woodbine turf course. His last race, clearly just to shake off the rust to me. I don't see why he doesn't have a solid chance to get back to where he was at this time last summer. And at that point, he is plenty capable of posting an upset.
How much of an upset would it be?
Well, he's 12-1 on the morning
Is
line.
it that much?
Yeah.
Wow.
He never gets bet. This horse never gets bet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Not since that handicap win back in November of 22. You're right. Lots of double digits. I've got an 8-1 shot that I think maybe.
Let me have him.
Capture the Lion, Gary Barber.
I almost went there.
And Cassie.
I don't think he's good enough. I liked his races, and he's progressive.
He's progressive.
They just got him on grass.
Yep. I like that.
What is he, an uncaptured grass? No, you're on to something. Love the way he finished, and he made great progress from his first turf start to his second. And when you see a horse like that, you don't know where their ceiling is.
Exactly.
Get them while they're hot.
Exactly right. And, that was his first time on grass going 7. He loses Kimura, but...
they all lost Kimura.
Yeah, exactly.
The circuit lost him.
Savashi...
Savachi is riding up a storm.
He's terrific. And 8-1, that's me. Out of a Tuffelsberg mare.
Yep, that's quite the pedigree, huh?
Right?
Teufelsberg, of the 5 horses he's had that can run at all, he's a grass influence for me.
Listen, I'm a big Tuppelsburg fan.
Well,
Trained by?
there's one of them.
Trained by
That lady, I can't remember. her
Jamie
name.
Sanders.
Jamie Sanders, yeah.
Hey now, famous for Chuck Simon hanging her on a
I think you
on a
should
bridle
stop
rack.
right there.
On a bridle rack,
Really? Like literally?
literally.
Out of anger or out of...
In the Zito barn, I think. Famous. It's a famous backstretch incident.
it sounds like it.
Incident might not be a good term to use.
Yeah. Until the statute of limitations has expired.
That's a classic. That came up a couple of weeks ago, actually. It was very fun.
From the sound of it, it ought to come up.
Two Jamie Sanders mentions. Marcus, this now become a thing. It's an annual visit.
We changed desks, though. I feel at sea.
Well, because
I don't know what I'm looking at over here.
well, we're glad you're here, and
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me onto your wonderful show.
it's my pleasure. You've become a fixture. This is the
Well, don't make me blush. It is radio, but you can feel that through the airwaves.
the Hirsch half hour.
And if history is the same, you'll be wandering tomorrow, right? You're a wanderer. I mean, in the stands,
he's a-
looking here, there.
He's a
You're back and forth.
track.
It depends on how many enemies I see in the crowd.
Who you're ducking, right? Actually, this is a pretty tame place here.
You never know. Let me put it that way.
Marcus Hirsch, everybody, DRF Hirsch, and the coverage in the pages of the Daily Racing Form. We'll take our break here. 95 minutes in, 85 to come. Steve Anderson of the
My man. Give him my best.
I will. More Delmar, then some James Scully on here on the Twin Spires weekend preview. We're live at Monmouth. Hammer's here. Dennis Drazen will be by, and we're still looking to catch up with Ron Gierkink north of the border, as well as Nick Tamaro for a little Saratoga insight as well. Man, back to Monmouth after this.
It's At the Races with Steve Vick on Sirius XM Radio.
The state of Pennsylvania has the best breeders program in the entire United States.
When you buy a yearling, it's a little bit like buying a lottery ticket. And we are trying to provide the lottery ticket that the likelihood is to hit the jackpot.
Angel of Empire wins the Arkansas Derby and wins it clear.
Uncle Heavy late, it's a photo finish.
Pennsylvania and the PHPA have the best state-bred program in the country, bar none.
The winner, Uncle Heavy. He's a 3-year-old bred in Pennsylvania.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions and offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets. $200 deposit match with promo Steve200. Visit NairaBets.com for details.
The Ponds family's Country Life and Maryland Farms are the place for breeding and racing in the Mid-Atlantic. Country Life is nationally recognized for making stallions and curly stands, the Mid-Atlantic's leading first and second crop sires, Divining Rod by Tappan and Mosler by Warfront, as well as Frisian Fire. Maryland's 5/8 mile training track completes the full-service facilities from the folding barn to the racetrack. Join the excitement of racing with Country Life Farm, where our partnerships can take you from beginning to winning.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Visit ua-rtip.org today.
Why, in the past decade, has BRL Equine become the premier equine supplement company in the industry? Because we spend millions in research and development before we ever put out a product. Because we use only FDA-supervised facilities to manufacture for us. Because what we say is in them is in them. Because they work. Because if you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. And because top trainers and veterinarians in thoroughbred racing, standardbred racing, 3-day eventing, and barrel racing all trust in BRL Equine. Shouldn't you? To find out more how Flexify HA, Unlock, Leader Shield, and EPO Equine can help you, contact me, Joseph Volante, 215-501-6880.
Horsebills.com is a cost-effective, time-saving paperless revolution. Vendors are able to generate electronic invoices for owners and other vendors who can pay through Horsebills.com for just 50 cents. Turn hours of work into minutes with our easy-to-use site. Have our team take over your bookkeeping or continue to do it yourself and pay only our low monthly subscription fee. Check out our video tutorial on the Horsebills.com YouTube channel and get started today for free. Horsebills.com. Toll-free number 888-938-4643.
This is At the Races with Steve Beck.
We're back. Second half, thanks to Marcus Hirsch for the visit. And we'll follow up with Steve Anderson. I'm still trying to firm up the Gear Kink and Tamaro visits. Luckily, I saved that time for hour 3, so we should be all right. Huh?
I see you've done this before.
Yeah,
you can anticipate the scheduling.
You gotta be a little fluid here and there. All right, we'll get Steve Anderson in, and we'll talk to Steve, get his storylines about the Del Mar meet. I tried to scare up David Jerkins. We'll get David later in the meet. Josh Rubenstein and some of the other team, of course, at Del Mar.
Are you coming to Del Mar this year?
No, I don't see how. I don't see how we can do it.
I didn't think so.
It's just too much. Steve Anderson, though, he's there. He's ready for Del Mar 2024. Steve, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the summer in California.
Right? It's a little weird. It's a Saturday kickoff. It's a little later than usual, even though we've got an early Labor Day. What was there any detail about how and why this happened the way it did?
The property that Del Mar races on is owned by the state, and the San Diego County Fair, which is a major event, is held there in late June and typically ends on July 4. But the way the calendar unfolded this year, the event went through Sunday, July 7. So there was extra days behind what was typically the closing day of the fair before they were able to make this massive transition of the property from the fair facility into a racing facility. It's really kind of remarkable. I went down there once a day after the fair ended, and it really made you think, there's no way on earth they'll have this ready in 10 days. And yet they do. One of the most important elements of that transformation is the preparation of the main track, just to make sure that it's, in horse racing condition. So in that regard, that takes a little bit of time. They decided they would open on Saturday this year to give themselves an additional 24 hours. They only started workouts on the track on Wednesday. So this is probably a wise move to have a Saturday start. They're still racing 31 days during the Del Mar meeting. They've added a Thursday after Labor Day. When, if memory serves correct, the Aqueduct season will not have started yet after Saratoga.
Right.
So Del Mar will have a day in early September when they will be one of the primary racetracks operating in the United States. And they will have a 4-day closing week last year, leading to September 8th's final day. Last year, they had a 3-day final week leading to their closing day. So it's a little tiny bit of a different schedule. The biggest change is, of course, there's no racing today. And tomorrow, there's an 11-race program.
Hey, Steve Hammer here. Do you ever remember a Saturday opening?
No, because I wasn't alive in 1953.
Okay, so
sorry. That is I think back, there was one in the 30s, and then the most recent one was in the 50s. I mean, for decades, it was a Wednesday. Then it's shifted to Thursday. And then in the last few years, they've had a few Friday opening days. So it's changed over the years. I would imagine, and this will be discussed next month, that the 2025 meeting, if the calendar works out, would revert to a Friday opening day. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But It's an interesting situation. They open on a Saturday, so they don't race today. So last year they did $21 million in handle on a Friday, and this year they won't do that. They had a huge, you would anticipate for an opening day that's pretty much the focus of the country on that particular afternoon. They would have a massive handle day. Well, today they won't do that. So instead, tomorrow they compete with excellent programs at Saratoga and Monmouth for the attention of the national bet.
I said that to Hammer at the start of the show that the vying for the betting dollar tomorrow is going to be fierce.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you follow what you follow, no matter where you live or in the United States. You enjoy racing at tracks that you enjoy, so there's going to always be some, provincial benefit. But as particularly with post times in California at 5 o'clock Eastern, that helps them immensely as soon as the major tracks in the East finish their cards.
But unlike you mentioned, and unlike other tracks, they're at the mercy of that fair, which I believe is turned into be the biggest grossing fair in the country. I would
say probably among them. Don't forget the Texas State Fair.
No, I meant the state of California. I think it's number one.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge in Cal. It's huge in Cal, and in that regard, it gets what it wants.
Yes, it does.
Well, horse players will get what they want, the steady diet of turf and juveniles. We talked to Brad earlier this morning, Steve, and we got a little of the juvenile conversation going. From your perspective, talk about your advances going into the meet.
Well, I've been following pretty much the entire programs for both days, and as you mentioned, it is turf heavy. These are the first grass races run in California since June 16. So in that regard, there is the annual pent-up demand to run a turf horse, particularly in the summertime when you're starting to see a lot of these horses, not necessarily 2-year-olds this weekend, but it won't be long before you'll see juveniles on the grass at Del Mar. So there's a wide array of categories that will be racing on the turf. Last year and the year before, they ran 125 grass races, and they ran 286 races total last year. So the turf racing will be about 40 to 45% of the program, so it'll be constant, and particularly this weekend, as mentioned, without having had grass racing since the closure of Santa Anita's spring meeting on June 16th.
Yeah, it's amazing how not just in California but nationally how turf racing has just exploded. I have some stats I'll bring one time, but I would say in 15 years the turf core usage has probably doubled.
Yes, and it used to be a niche.
It did, and I don't know if I was trying to think. It was a combination of dirt racing was king, and probably a little bit of, and I'm guilty of this too, is kind of babying the turf courses, and maybe they, we would run 1 or 2 during the week, and 3 was it, and maybe 4. If you ran 4, you were really going over the line. But knowing how we had good, very good guys out there taking care of them, but probably could have pushed it a little bit more. But really wasn't asked to do it at that time. Everyone was satisfied with the mixture, mostly dirt and turf, and now it's just shifted all over the place.
Yeah, there's a high demand now for it, as you mentioned, and I think it's the higher quality of racing. In fact, what's fascinating about this particular weekend at Del Mar is there's an allowance race at a mile on turf to start Sunday's program that, for all intents and purposes, is a grade 3, maybe even a grade 2. In fact, of the 6 runners in the field, 4 of them have come out of graded stakes in their last starts, including Watsonville, who won the Mathis Mile for 3-year-olds at Santa Anita in December, and Exalted, who's trying to get his career back on path after a win in the Grade 1 Shoemaker a year ago in May, but only 5th in the Wise Dan in his first start this year a few weeks ago at Churchill. So he's a horse that is looked upon as a high-profile runner, but needs to show it.
Well, you know what? You mentioned the break and any type of break, but especially on the turf, it's been a month, so it's great to be able to offer different places for these horses to run, and then hopefully they all meet together in a stake or 2 later in the meet. So it's great to see that. You don't see that too often, starting a weekend off with a great race like that.
That's true.
Steve, I mentioned David Jerkins, who was touch and go to be able to visit with us. You talked to David, and the numbers that you quoted, upwards of 1,900 horses on the grounds, plus San Luis Rey within an easy ride. And then some training centers. So it feels like there's a big horse population. One thing that you noted at the end of your meet preview that I thought was interesting, less presence of Ship and Win horses, but the Northern Cal population that has been such a bone of contention and discussion point with Golden Gate's closure. I thought that David's reference to Northern Cal presence was worth discussing here.
Here are the names: Steve Sherman, Jamie Thomas, Bill McLean, Andy Mathis, Tim McKenna, O.J. Horricky, Reed France, Matt Troy, and Gloria Haley. Now, nationally, they may not be names that trigger recollections. Regionally, however, they all have a role in the sport at various levels in California. This Del Mar meeting over the next 8 weeks comes at a time that's ideal for people such as the ones I just mentioned to send down a division of horses, perhaps their top 20% of their runners and maybe a few others, to try to see how they fit into the Southern California program. Right now, it's Cal Expo at Sacramento this weekend and next, followed by 3 weekends at Santa Rosa. Then after that, it goes to the northernmost racing in the state, Ferndale, which is a very tiny track. It runs very modest races, let's put it politely. Therefore, there's no grass racing in Northern Cal anymore except for Santa Rosa. So if you have a grass horse in the north of some quality, bring it. If you've got an allowance class or a couple of nice young maidens, those are the ones that also wind up coming to Del Mar from those barns. You mentioned a moment ago that the absence of Ship and Win horses. What isn't taking place are a decent number of out-of-state stables coming in. Kent Sweezy's here, Herman Walensky's back. There are others involved too. Todd Fincher's brought a larger than normal group of horses compared to what he has brought in recent years. That's all true. What you find with the Ship and Win program, which is a Del Mar bonus system that awards owners who have horses that have been racing in other circuits or even overseas, bring them into California, and there's a bonus prize to some purse money over the course of the season for those horses. What you find is people who are based in California going out and finding horses around the world, really, Europe and across the United States, and buying those horses and bringing them to California, pre-existing California stables. The whole Ship and Win idea certainly was predicated on trying to attract leading stables from around the nation to relocate to Del Mar for the summer. What it really has become, in addition to that, as described, is a lure to get people who are already invested in California racing to buy horses from other venues.
Because Steve's great point, Steve, because it's not, the trainer doesn't have to be from out of state. Just the horse has to have made their last start out of state.
Yeah, and there's other criteria involved, like a first-time starter, a maiden first-time starter that has been trained out of state does not qualify. You have to have a certain time period since that horse's last start for it to qualify. And there are a few other parameters involved, but by and large, it's designed to get horses into the state and keep them here. Try to help field size on a circuit that at times has struggled pretty. Difficulties in trying to fill races. Del Mar has been a bit of an exception. That 9.1 runners per race in 2022, one of the highest numbers they've ever had, if not a record. Last year, it fell down to 8.9 runners per race. It's still a very good number, all told, and that includes both turf and dirt. The turf numbers were higher, but the numbers have been strong at this meeting, as you would expect for a track that has the highest purses of the year in California. Has the location adjacent to the seaside, and the dates run in late summer with mild weather. For the most part, they're supposed to succeed.
Well, let's get some success. Some thoughts, Steve. How about a couple of opinions? We talked San Clemente, and we talked earlier with Brad also official long-running start of the meet in the Oceanside. What are some of your spots for the weekend?
One of the races that I'm interested in is the San Clemente. It's going to be a very fascinating race, high quality race, which I think is rather wide open. And I'm eager to see what the Jeff Mullins trained filly Invincible Molly can do in her first start at a mile. She's 15-1 on the morning line. Edward Maldonado takes them out for the first time on a filly that has won 3 times, twice in England last year, and also won her last start in a 6-1 allowance race at Santa Anita in the middle of May. Mullins hoped to run her in June, early June, in a 1 mile allowance race, but said that the race didn't go. So she comes in off of a lengthy layoff, more than 9 weeks. I think she might be a long shot to consider in the San Clemente Stakes. So I think I'll probably have a few dollars on her as well. Looking forward to the Oceanside. Is always a fun race to watch, except it's a hectic race to watch because they're all trying to be in the same spot, about 3/8 of a mile to a quarter of a mile from the finish, which is 3 lengths behind the pace and stalking and ready for a big run. This particular race, I think, might not have as much drama to it this year. I think King of Gosford, who has really moved forward for trainer Phil D'Amato as the season has progressed, going unbeaten in 3 starts since arriving from Ireland, is a deserving favorite. He's tactical. He can be near the front. This is his first start at a mile, but I think he should be very handy for Antonio Freese, who I expect King of Gosford to run a very, very big race in the Oceanside Stakes. He's been his target for months now, so let's see what he can produce.
Very good. Anywhere else?
And like I said a moment ago, that race that starts the program on Sunday is a fascinating race, arguably deeper than the Wicker Stakes later in the day. And I would like to see what Watsonville can do. He's been working forwardly for trainer Mark Glatt over the last several months. There was some preliminary discussions about even considering taking him out of California for his comeback race, but that's a horse that I expect to have a big 2024 rather. He's a 4-year-old colt who did win the Mathis Mile and has won 3 of his last 5. Expect him to have a big start to his year in a very tough race, as mentioned in the allowance race, first race mile. He'll have some pace to follow, I think, and he'll be handy. But he should be one to follow.
Steve Anderson, as always, appreciate the opportunity to visit, and looking forward to a great Del Mar. We'll check in as the season unfolds.
It should be a fun summer. Thanks, guys.
Steve Anderson, everybody, and does such a super job. Let's get to Scully and get his opinions.
That you said Scully, that means everybody get your pencil out.
Yeah, we got plenty more handicapping. Ron Gierking, Ron and I just exchanged a note. He heard us. We just couldn't hear him. So we'll get to Ron in a little bit as well to discuss the rest of the Woodbine slate, the Oaks, and the Plate Trial, and the Trillium as well. And Nick Tamero confirmed as well for the end of the show for 11:45.
Have to put in for an extension.
Who did I say? Oh, Scully. There we go. So let's get James going, and we'll see what he's doing. And there we go. Oh, you just giving me that to just have a sip of? Or you okay? Jersey Shore Barbie making an appearance. I got it. I'll drink the water. Thank you. Thanks, honey. James Scully, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Does Gigi harass you to drink water and hydrate?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
I mean, a little bit. You know, I drink a lot of water anyway, though, Steve. So. I mean,
I have no idea what I do.
She's not walking up and putting botots in my face.
Well, that's what just happened here. That's exactly what happened. You nailed it. That's so great. Twin Spires weekend preview, and boy, James, before we look at any spots, Del Mar opening tomorrow, Woodbine Plate Advance. You know, the Plate preview show tomorrow. ABR is doing a feature from there. You've got obviously just the regular Saratoga action and Haskell Day. Twin Spire players have just a smorgasbord.
Yes, absolutely. We have a 15% profit boost on Win Exacta and superfecta, win, exacta, trifecta, and superfecta wagers on all races on the Haskell Day card Saturday at Monmouth. We're going to be doing that, all summer when there's being Breeders' Cup Challenge races being offered at a track, and the Haskells, the women are in for the Classic. So Twin Spires players can get a 15% boost on winning tickets. We've got the Del Mar Daily Double Down contest. That's our first 25% promotion for Del Mar, 15% promotion, I believe. And then at Woodbine, we've got as well, we've got a hit it and split it. We have got a 15% odds boost on Sunday's card. We got Ellis Park leaderboards. We got an Ellis Park profit boost and much, much more. We've got offers for a ton of thoroughbred tracks and harness tracks. Be sure you go to twinspires.com and opt in.
Exactly right. Not to mention all of the juries and all of the videos analysis that just.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. We started up doing the juries on Thursday afternoons, previewing races over the weekend, and then on Tuesdays we do roundtable where we discuss what happened and analyze the past results. So it's been great. We've been doing it. Ashley Anderson, Vance Hansen, Darren Zuccali, Nick Tamro has helped out, and myself, and we love doing those videos on twinspires.com.
Hey, James, it's Hammer here. I just was checking in here with Steve at Monmouth.
Hey, Hammer.
Just to go back, so if you're using Twin Spires, you get 15% bonus on every winning bet.
Yeah, win, exacta, tries, and supers. You got to opt in for it, but yes, we got that going on Saturday. It's our Breeders' Cup Challenge profit boost, and we're doing it. The race has to have they have to have like a minimum number of starters. So if you get a scratch depleted race, it might not be eligible. But yes, all eligible races, we're going to have a 15% profit boost for those wagers.
That's pretty healthy. I mean,
it's free money.
It's exactly. If you're going to play, is that the first time you've done that, or I have not been paid attention?
No, we've been doing it. We did it. We started it up with the Breeders' Cup Challenge this summer, so we had it on the closing day of Churchill Downs, and we'll be having it for Saratoga and Del Mar in the weeks to come as well.
All right, that's a great offer.
James, where are we starting?
All right, we'll start at Monmouth. I'll hit a couple of stake spots I like. In race number 5, the matchmaker for Fillies and Mares on the turf. Olivia Moralda made her U.S. debut in Allowance at Keeneland on Saturday late in the meet, and just got a troubled trip. She didn't get clear till late, came rolling. I really liked her runner-up effort to Anna Said on the stretch out to 1 1/8 last time. I thought that was a real positive effort. You have some Chad Brown horses in here who could take more money. Obviously, Delahaye and Maman June, I think, are both candidates, and maybe even Boot Cachet with Frankie Dettori. But all of those mares, Delahaye and Maman June, have never, haven't been the 9 furlong distance in the U.S. or winless at it. And Boot Cachet is like over 3 at or about the distance. So they're all a little unproven at 9 furlongs, whereas I think this Olivia Moralda is going to thrive. So I like her in the matchmaker.
7-2 on the 3, and of course Walden only shows up here because of the off the turf the other day at Saratoga.
Right. Yeah, Wednesday she was entered in a good allowance. I liked her there, but all those races came off. It's good to see them avoid the rain though the rest of this weekend. Looking ahead to race number 9. Obviously, Arzak is the one to beat in there, but he had to scratch from the turf sprint at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, and he came back off of a 2-month layoff. And I just thought that was a real big effort in the Jaipur. I'm a little worried about it maybe taking a little bit of starch out of him. He's still the horse to beat, obviously. I think he's going to be a lot lower than 5-2. But I look at a Logan I liked his. I thought his effort in the Jaipur was all right. Got a little tired. Got tired by the top of the stretch and weakened in the stretch. But he came back with a solid effort at Belmont. He has 2 starts under him, and he loves Monmouth's turf. He ran a big race in this race last year to win it. So he's 6-1 on the morning line. I like Largan a little bit in the Wolf Hill.
Well, and that's our man Ned Allard that we were lauding earlier.
Yes. And I first heard about him a few years ago at Pimlico, really, or maybe 5 or 7 years ago. I don't know, but he came along, and he's a good young horseman. In the Monmouth Cup, race number 10, mile and an eighth distance. I like Highland Falls is going to be a key in multi-race wagers. I do hope Tappan Trice comes back in this spot, but I look at this race as the timing was better for him to run here than the Whitney, than to come back in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, which is ultimately, I believe Brad Cox thinks 10 furlongs is going to be his best distance. I think that's going to be his prep for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And I look for a strong, and he's going to ship in Idomatic and Highland Falls to run in these stakes. So I like Highland Falls a lot in that race. I know, he'll contend for favoritism, but I'm going to play him as a single in multi-race bets.
Sounds good.
In the UN, I liked. I thought Get Smoking's comeback. Get Smoking thrived in my mind when Mark Casse stretched him out last fall in those 2 races in the Kentucky Downs Preview Cup and the Kentucky Downs Turf Cup itself. Relished added ground. His speed was really good in those races. He came back with a solid, I thought, comeback or tune-up for this spot. Obviously, I think drawing inside a number 8 so high is a big advantage. That horse could show speed, but I'm looking back over his last 14 starts since last summer, and then only 7 of 14 of those was he's on the lead. And Get Smoking's dealt with speed before. My main take in this UN, guys, is I thought I'm against Web Slinger and Far Bridge. I'm going to fade both of them in my bets and my multi-race bets. I'm not keen on Far Bridge at the mile and 3/8 distance. He just has to prove himself at that distance from that far outside post. And I thought Web Slinger, he got by Segoe in the stretch, looked like he was going to win by open lens, and that rival came back on him. And, it was close at the wire. So I thought he was – I still don't think this is his optimal distance. I'm going to include horses like Data Man at Hamo and even Starting Over if in multi-race bets if So High does go out there and compromise my picks chances. But I'm going to look at Get Smoking to win. He's 12-1 on the morning line.
We just had this conversation and with I like that. I think it all depends.
I missed it.
Well, it was a Marcus and about what's going to happen. I mean, if Chatterpaw's here, So High can basically contends with Get Smoking for the lead, and if not, if he doesn't come, Get Smoking's loose.
Yeah, exactly. And but even if he comes, I mean, I'm still like, hey, if he's out there like tracking him in second and Get Smoking is comfortable doing that, I still think he has a chance to steal this race wire to wire. I think, like I said, I look at him and his best races were his last 2 races last year, and that was a solid comeback effort. So he's eligible to have more to offer for Casse this year.
I'll tell you one thing. Given the heat, given the temperatures we've had here all week, that turf course has got to be baked hard.
Yeah, so that'd be good. That'd be good for speed. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And in the Haskell, I like Mind Frame. I think that I look at Dornick, and to me, he doesn't have to win this race. He just needs a solid effort because he's going to be keyed up for the Travers in a sense. He loves Saratoga. And I just think this cut back to mile and 8 is going to favor Mind Frame. That was a really good effort going 10 furlongs in his 3rd career start. He got a little tired in mid-stretch, but he still, kept trying hard to the wire. So I like Mind Frame to earn his first stakes win in the Haskell.
That seems to be the prevailing sentiment.
At Saratoga, my best bet on Saturday's card is in race number 8, number 7, Arrow Smash. I liked how this horse broke his maiden last year at Saratoga by open lens. I liked his entry-level allowance win to conclude last season, and I thought his comeback effort, believe me, he got uncorked a little bit too late in the stretch, and Champlin got the run on him. But I think Champlin is a really nice up-and-coming one-speed and sprinter for Greg Foley. He's in on Sunday in the Jeff Hall Memorial Stakes at Ellis Park. He's in there against Happy as a Choice and Me Song. But I think Arrow Smash improves off that comeback effort and runs a big race here. I mean, Phil Bauer, he's got 2 starts. He got a win in a second. You look at these Kentucky people, Al Stahl, 3 starts in a second, 2 wins in a second from 3 starts. Amos, 2 for 5. Cherie DeVoe has 3 wins, a second, and 2/3 from 7 starts. Power, Cathleon, after winning 3 races yesterday, is tied for the lead in the jockey standings. So I look for Arrow Smash to run a real big race in race 8. And in the finale, I'm really against this favored entry. One of them's AE, but this factor analysis is a hanger. He's a dead closer. There's no speed in this turf race, or not much speed. I like number 3, Artem Puss, 8-1 on the morning line with John Velasquez for Todd Pletcher.
All right.
And, I also mentioned that Jeff Hall Memorial. I'm of the big opinion that these up-and-coming sprinters have a big chance this fall. Like Me Song, he ran second in the Grade 1 Churchill Downs. I'm going to try to beat him. I like Champlin and Happy as a Choice in that race. I can't wait to see Subrogate run at Saratoga. I'm looking for these up-and-coming sprint types in that division. Today at Saratoga, my last second Friday push is going to come in race number 2. I like this Skylander. Or is it Skylander? No, not Skylander.
Skylander's in the 4th.
I like number 2 in race 2.
Scratch.
Magic.
Scratch.
Magic 8-ball scratch.
Scratched.
Gosh almighty. All right. Well, I thought the 5 and the AE scratched, but I missed the Deuce scratch.
Hold on. Let me look back. But I just did the scratches and sent Andy's. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I got that wrong. Hold on. Second. No, the 5 and the 10. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The 5 and the 10 scratch.
I like Magic 8-ball. Let me tell you, Steve, this 3-year-old filly by Upstart, she was 6-5 in her debut against main special weight rivals at Belmont last year.
Yeah.
Didn't work out on the main track for her. Her first turf race was November 18th at Aqueduct, and she had a troubled trip in that race. The runner-up and third-place finisher won their next start. She came back last time. There was a 99-1 shot that went out.
That's my fault.
She was under a hammer hold in second and won convincingly and really relished the turf. That was her first non-troubled start on the grass. I think she's going to improve upon it. She's the speed with Javier Castellano, the 2 in race 2 at Saratoga.
Interesting. And 5-1 in a weird, not a weird, but in a strangely.
She's a 5-1 co. She's a 5-1 co 4 choice.
Right, and Wings Like Eagles, and I picked From Hello, the 3, Bruce Brown, but Chad's got that Dia Matrona as well, and I thought this was contentious. It's a fun card today. You get into the second half of the card; those 2 allowances, the 8th and the 9th, are terrific. You got a pair of really 3 maiden races that are fun. There's all kinds of things. There's a huge scratch, and in fact, I should have brought this up with Marcus. There's a huge scratch in the opener. Jack Sisterson and Craig Bernick were going to unveil Gene and Jude, and for those of you that are Chicagoland faithful, the great hot dog stand, Gene and Jude's, where you go and you get the hot dog, drag it through the garden, and then the French fries right on top. It's all wrapped up in wax paper. Gene and Jude, I cannot wait for the debut. I'm going to have to get Bernick back on And
Hey, that's a good little maiden race. That Governor Sam, that Royal Palm Juvenile Stakes had like 8 hopefuls for Royal Ascot in it, and this filly's 4-1 in there. Or this colt is 4-1, and he showed good speed and just tired in the stretch. He dueled with the winner, and then this Vekoma filly for Christophe Comont.
No evidence.
No evidence. Comont, his horse, that 9, that first her yesterday for him, I forget her name, but she took money. But, man, I loved Will Rain in there, and the other Cassie beat me. Mark Cassie had 2 maiden winners last week at Saratoga. He had 5 maiden winners in North America last week. And then yesterday in the 5.5 furlong, 2-year-old filly maiden special weight at Churchill, he runs 1-2. So that guy's horses are firing a little bit. I even took a look at Pounce. I know Oversubscribed looks really tough in that race, but I thought that was an interesting effort last time. She doesn't have to be on the lead. She can sit close. I mean, she ran her best race, arguably, in the Here Comes the Bride when she was, rated. So that filly comes off, I thought, a solid third and could be dangerous for him.
Good. No doubt about Cassie. Hitting on all cylinders. Big time.
Yep. All right, guys. Hey, best of luck to y'all. Thanks so much.
Thank you, James Scully, everybody. And there's a variety of opinions. We appreciate it. We're going to try to swing back to Ron Gearkink, and we'll give this another shot. And I don't know. I hope Rogers, up north of the border, Rogers Communication is the bane of every mobile users' existence. Terrible! Their monopoly and it's a fortune. Cost everybody a fortune. It's just crazy. So let's. There we go. That's going to be the charm.
Bingo.
Ron Gearkink, good morning.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Rick Hammerly's with us as well.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Rick. How's it going?
Fantastic. Glad to get you on. We were wondering if you were playing hide and seek with us, but I guess it was our problem, huh?
Somewhere.
I think it was on your end. I can hear you perfectly. So this is take 2.
Exactly. Well, it's the first go-round as we work our way toward August and the King's Plate. Ron, I'm looking forward to being up there leading up Thursday and Friday. I had a plate to be my first. And the Woodbine Oaks and the Plate Trial, which really drew a narrow field. I mean, usually it's a big full gate, but just a 6-pack, and maybe the Oaks is as productive as usual when it comes to feeding into the Plate.
Yeah, fillies traditionally do well in the Plate. The fillies that come out of the Oaks, and this doesn't look like the greatest Oaks field ever. That's why it's such a big field. Everybody's taking a shot. I mean, that said, last year's Oaks field didn't look that great either, and Elysium Field emerged from the race to actually finish second in the Plate and do very well. And Fashionably Fab ran in the Oaks last year, and he's going for a 6 stakes win in a row on the Saturday card in the Trillium Stakes. So, there's this Oaks is wide open, and Kevin Attard has 5 entered, believe it or not, with a pretty good chance to win it, and he has won it 2 of the last 3 years.
Flesh him out a little bit, and I thought it was actually a notable storyline in itself. How big Attard's operation is getting, and he was one of the names. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, Ron, when NYRA announced the plans to run exclusively on the new Tapeta at Belmont in the winter, Attard was sought out, and he made it clear that he thought it would be a winter string location for him.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possible place for him to go. I think I might send one down for the winter if I find the right horse to go down for the winter. Yeah, you never know. I mean, the purses should be really good, and I think it's definitely a possibility. So Kevin's got. I like War Painter in the Oaks. She
She worked head and head with Moira on June 29th. Really good work. She came back with 2 more really good works where she ran down some company. She's coming off an Ontario Sire Allowance win. It was not that fast, but she's had hanging tendencies. So this was sort of more a clear-cut win. And the way she's worked going into the Oaks, I prefer her. And Emma Wilson's picked up the mount on her from Amora, who obviously has gone to Del Mar for the summer. So there's a lot of horses running this weekend that Kimura has been riding, a lot of live ones that he has lost the mount on because he's left town. So the actual morning line favorite is another Kevin Attard horse, Caitlin or Greatness. Switched from Pletcher to Kevin recently and won an allowance over older horses, going 7.5 on the inner turf 2 weeks ago. So she's running back quick. She has no synthetic experience, but she did work over the Tapeta the other day. So that should be a plus. But I think running back in 2 weeks, I think she's a bit of a vulnerable favorite, assuming that she does go favorite, because this is a very tough line to make on this 14-horse field.
You know, of the Attards, I do want to ask you about 2 or 3 of these. My Girl Della, the Medaglia d'Oro, that took even though she got beat last, the race in June. What's notable is she did it against Open Company, and now back against Restricted Company, and she did take a step forward on a fig, looking at figs. And I thought that she had a bit of a look at 12-1. Tom Amos, who has really gotten hot between Ellis and Saratoga, he sends up Badia, an Uncle Mo, that if this filly can translate to the synthetic, she's a player. Badia, right? 8-1.
Yeah, that's a tall order too, Steve. I mean, with no synthetic work or race, it's tough to do. Now, she does have a lot of synthetic breeding. Uncle Mo has sired 18% synthetic route winners, and the dams produced 2 synthetic winners at Woodbine. But I prefer to see at least a turf work coming into it as opposed to a dirt work, because turf is, obviously somewhat similar to synthetic racing. So I'm throwing her out. That said, I'd probably put her in the winner's circle by saying that. But it's just historically, I don't see it's really tough to do. So
fair enough. How about with My Girl Della? This is our friend John Fielding. Anderson, I tell you, Anderson Farms. What about Anderson Farms with how many in here? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. A bunch of them.
Right? They bred at least 3 of these runners. Make it 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. My Girl, she's a must-use in this race. Picking up Patrick Husband, who inherits the mount from Kimura. And she, I think she can close or she can go to the lead. She probably won't go to the lead in this spot, but I think she's quite tactical, and I think third time off the layoff looks could be the charm for her too. Another horse to mention really is Hurricane Claire. I know Marty Drexler's really excited about the way she's come up to the race, and she won Ontario's Art Allowance last time out on the inner turf. He thinks she's maybe better on the Tapeta, so I could see her running big at 12-1 might be a little high on her morning line wise, but I think she's live, and she had a good work the other day on the Tapeta. So it picks up Savachi. Sahid Savachi won the Oaks last year on Elysium Field for Cassie.
Well, a big, full competitive field for the Woodbine Oaks, 500,000, and you would expect to get some of these into the plate. Let's jump actually to the plate trial, which goes as the 6th, and let me actually give everybody the lay of the multi-race land. The pick 5 starts with the Trillium as opposed to the plate. The pick 5 has got the Trillium, the Connaught, the Oaks, and then the 2 late races, the Allowance 10th and the optional maiden 11. But the plate trial, I was surprised. 7-horse. I called it a 6-horse field earlier. I was surprised, Ron. This is usually a full gate.
Yeah, I mean, I think not everyone wants to run against My Boy Prince.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of plate horses running today on the turf. That, like an Welling horse, they split their 2 horses up. Joke Stars and a Welling horse who was in the trial tomorrow. So, but really, My Boy Prince is, he's supposed to be in the lead here and just lead all the way. And I guess the question is, does he really want to go a mile and 1/8? And against his group, it probably shouldn't be a problem. He's last year's Canadian champion 2-year-old. The only time he ran around 2 turns, he was a really good third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf going a mile. So he's coming off back-to-back 7 furlong stakes wins with huge buyers, 97 in the King Corey, and he won the Queenston last time with an 88. So this is his race to lose, really. And same connections as last year's play winner, Paramount Prince, Cassie, and Gary Barber. So he's a really good horse. It's just a question of the distance, but I think it's and they left this race out to pick 5. I think on purpose to make the pick 5 more challenging. It does start a pick 6 jackpot wager though. So, and a maiden called Beautiful Sky. She was cross-entered in the Oaks and the trial. She doesn't get into the Oaks. She'll run in the trial here. Not with much of a chance, but. So the field could shrink to 6 if she draws in the Oaks.
Well, I'll tell you who does maybe have a chance. And even though the performance in the Marine went awry, Piper's Factor, the Vasileva Factor colt, that race 2 back, where he actually beat Elders in May. I thought that you look at that race fits pretty well against My Boy Prince.
Yeah, it really does. And, he got an 85 buyer that day. I mean, he didn't run his race last time, and he has been inconsistent. So when it's his day, when he shows up, he's a good horse. And Patrick Husbands picks up the mount on him for this race. So he might be a good fit for this horse. I could see him rebounding and, running second to My Boy Prince. And, the other contender is No More Options. I mean, there's a nice, consistent horse. Coming off a 3rd in the Queenston, and the Queenston runner-up, Essex Serpent, came back to win the Grade 3 Marine.
Right.
So this is a nice horse, and the connections have gotten Edgar Zayas. They brought him up for the mount, and which I think says a lot. And Zayas is running. He's also riding Lunch with Bernie or Cassie in the Oaks, I believe. But yeah, no more options. He's a really nice horse. I expect him to run well in this spot and go on to the plate for trainer Zelko Kretschmar, who trains the horse for his daughter. Mary Self is her name. We paid $5,000 for him, I think.
How about that?
Yeah. What a bargain by Frack Daddy. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Frack Daddy's son.
Mm-hmm.
Out of a Birdstone. Yeah. Turning to the middle stakes between the Oaks and the trial, the Grade 3 Trillium and the Grade 2 Connaught Cup. And the Trillium, you're looking at fillies and mares, and they're going to go a mile and a 1/16.
Yeah, this looks like a rematch between Fashionably Fab and Solo Alden. They ran 1-2 in the Grade 3 Bell Mahone June 1st, and Fashionably Fab going for her 6th stakes win in a row, believe it or not. And she's ridden by apprentice Pietro Moran, who rode her last time, and he won 4 races on the card yesterday. So
pretty cool.
He's the up and coming apprentice here, Pietro, the son of jockey David Moran.
Right.
Sometimes quite often they ride against each other in the same race.
That's fun.
So yeah, and Solo Alden, she was one of the top 3-year-old fillies here last year, and she ran a bang up second in the Bell Mahone after going to the lead. I think she really likes Woodbine. She doesn't run a bad one here very often, and she's been inconsistent elsewhere. My top pick in the race is Forever Dixie. I think at a price, she was 3rd in the Bell Mahone. she's coming off a fifth in a really tough edition of the Nassau, the Grade 2 Nassau on the turf. And like Cassie tells me, she's a good horse when she decides she wants to run a race. And I'm just guessing that she's going to wake up with maybe her A game, and she's 10-1 on the line. So I like her a bit.
I don't blame you, and I'll tell you who else is just as competitive. You mentioned Edgar Zayas, and he's riding for Safi. That Barracuda is 8-1. What's wrong with Barracuda?
Yeah, Safi wins everywhere but at Woodbine, believe it or not. He's open. And he has a stable here. He's got
I know.
Maybe 10 horses here. He's over 13 at the meet, so after that I just throw all his horses out. But it's baffling, really. I mean, he wins everywhere. He's hot as a pistol, but not here. But on paper, yeah, she's a contender. Yeah.
Well, and Graham Motion, who has had set a couple up for stakes opportunities and has hit the boards, but 5 towns coming out of the Gallarette behind Fluffy Socks, and you're looking for a synthetic form. This is a horse that won at Kempton 2 years ago. This is a 4-year-old Lord Kanaloa filly, and won at Gulfstream over the winter. So she's got 2 synthetic wins around the world.
Yeah, 2 for 2 on synthetics. Yeah, and picks up Rafael Hernandez. He's currently the leading rider here. He had a good last Sunday, or Saturday. So yeah, you can certainly make a case for her too, Steve.
The Trillium came up very competitive, and I don't think you've got to eat the 2-1 or the 5-2 on Fashionably Fab and Solo Album, respectively. Let's talk about the Connaught Cup and Marcus Hirsch, your colleague, of course, long time at the Forum. Marcus used the Connaught as one of his game plan races, and he went shopping for a price. I did too. I'm interested in Capture the Lion for Cassie and Gary Barber. What are we doing in the Connaught?
Interesting, Cassie supplemented Capture the Lion because he decided not to run Philo Diarani in this race, and he told me he was going to send him to Colonial, and then he altered plans and supplemented him to this race. He loved his last win over the same course and distance, 7/8. So, you can make a pretty good case for him. The obvious favorite is Flag of Honor. He's the top synthetic sprinter at Woodbine this year, coming off a G2-wire win with a 98 buyer in Chuck Cartier. 3 for 6 on turf in his native Australia. So Julia Carey thinks the trainer thinks that maybe he's better on turf, which is kind of hard to believe because of his synthetic form is so good right now. And I suspect he left Australia because he couldn't run on Lasix there. And really, Woodbine's the ideal place to come if you want to run in stakes on Lasix. And this horse has just thrived since he's come here. She actually passed the Highlander Stakes with him a few weeks ago to have him pressure for this race. So he's a deserving favorite. Picks up Emma Wilson from Kimura, and Emma's ridden the horse twice before and didn't win, but was right there. So, but yeah, he's 7-5 on the line. Maybe you key him or maybe you spread out. I don't know. The other Cassie in the race is First Empire, first time gelding, coming off a year layoff. He was a really good 2-year-old here back in 2021. He's worked very well. Whether he needs one or not, I'm not sure. And Sappy's got Saratoga Flash in here. On paper, it's second time out the layoff. He could be prominent. He almost won the Appleton too back at Gulfstream on the grass. So he gets Edgar Zayas, who has been his regular rider at Gulfstream.
A very good Connaught Cup. Marcus made the case for War Bomber, and 8-1 for me on Capture the Lion. War Bomber's 12-1. This is a really good introduction and preview leading to next month's play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, waits 4 weeks from this date, so yeah, it's going to be a fun card to watch. 11 race card, terrific set of races in this sequence.
Ron, you also you hit on two stories from the last, certainly since the last time we spoke. Moira came up regarding the Attard barn, and I thought she ran great. She did everything but win last week in the Diana.
Yeah, she was terrific, wasn't she? Off a long layoff. Yep. I mean, it was questionable. She's a year older. How good is she going to run off the long layoff? Well, she really did bring her A game, and I guess Kevin Attard told David Granning that she's going to run back here either in the Canadian or go to I think Colonial for the Beverly D. So one or the other. But yeah, she's come back in great order, and it's good to see. She's really is a fan favorite here. The 2022 Horse of the Year and Queen's Play winner that year.
Also, I should slip in with you the Emma Jane Wilson story from the fortnight and becoming the all-time leading money earner among female jockeys.
Yeah, that happened, I think, a week ago yesterday. She surpassed Julie Crone as the leading money-winning female rider with the earnings of around $90 million in U.S. Yeah, that was she did it for Roger Atfield in a win, by the way, not a placing. So that was cool to see for someone who's ridden her for a long time, and it was a 50 horse too that broke her maiden first time out. Emma's 42 years old and she's still going strong. I could see her riding another 10 years. I mean, she's a very, very strong finishing rider. I mean, maybe the strongest finisher at Woodbine, believe it or not. She really is a terrific rider, and she doesn't have any plans to quit.
No, why would she? By any means. Wow. Ron, I'm looking forward to getting up there, and it's been a while. Haven't had a chance to see a plate, so it'll be my first. And
and some advice: don't go down. The traffic downtown Toronto is terrible right now. Construction, and one of the main arteries into the city is there's a lane closed each way for the next 3 years. So if you're going to go downtown, I would take public transit. So the traffic in the city is a mess right now.
Well, I'm quite happy to tool around Etobicoke, and I don't need to run downtown. My decade-long life out of Montreal and plenty of Toronto experience. Although, you know what? I wouldn't mind catching the Jays. I've got to look at the schedule and see if the Jays overlap.
You can take the Up Express from the airport, or you can take an express bus from near the track to the subway. So, yeah,
right.
It's very doable. Take a look at the schedule. See if the Jays are in town.
You're going to love it, because the last time I saw the Jays was at Exhibition Park. That gives you an idea. It's pretty funny, right?
Right, and Ron, I got to thank you for this preview, because I'm here to gamble this weekend, and on a packed weekend, I guess what? I'm starting to look at a couple of races that you went over. So Woodbine, you might get a few of my dollars on Saturday. Seriously, it's a great card. Real nice card.
I do love the card. I do. That late pick 5 looks appealing, and even the late pick 4. Yeah, I mean it really is a terrific card.
Well, and I'm just looking. The plate is what? What's our date?
17th.
The 17th.
17th of August.
Yeah, they're out of town. They come home afterward, and actually the Reds show up. Unbelievable. That would have been perfect. But all right, no Jays for me.
They're even talking about bringing Joey Votto up from the minors to maybe play in a game.
Wow.
Because he is in the organization. Yep. So I don't know if that's going to actually come to fruition. But he's from Etobicoke, Joey Votto. So.
That's
pretty cool.
I tried to play against the Reds. That'd be wild. Ron Gearkink, everybody, and the action at Woodbine should be a terrific day on a wild Saturday. Monmouth, Saratoga, Woodbine, Del Mar. There's almost too much to choose from.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve.
Thanks for the catching up. Ron Gearkink, everybody. Always a pleasure. Does a spectacular job and has for forever. I mean, one of the longest tenured DRF correspondents. And as you heard him reference, a horse owner and breeder himself, him and his family. We got a couple of minutes before I reach for Nick. So I'm going to hammer turn to you. But I just saw something on Twitter that I'm absolutely going to trumpet. And then next week, we'll get Jay Privman on, because Jay, in association with Karma, the California Retirement Organization, Jay has written a book, a children's book essentially, What Horses Do After Racing, the Story of Good Karma. And they're just releasing it, and I retweeted it. It's obviously all the money that comes out of it after costs, obviously, will go to Karma. This is fantastic. And Jay is, I knew Jay was going to sneak this kind of thing in. You know,
good for him. And so people know what Karma is. Karma is with a C in Southern California is the leading aftercare program that was started 10, 12 years ago, and it's been
maybe more now.
Maybe more. Madeline Arbach, a big push behind that, and it's grown and is one of the stalwarts of aftercare in the business, but definitely in California.
Outstanding, Jay. Great work, and he'll tell us all about it. What Horses Do After Racing, the Story of Good Karma, takes young readers on a journey through the lives of 4 racehorses: Good Karma, Stylish Samantha, Lovely Lucinda, and Silly Billy, who after their racing days are over find new homes and purposes. The main character, Good Karma, is a beautiful chestnut filly with a splash of white on her face and legs, making it look like she's wearing socks. The story showcases the horse's dreams of their future career. You can get it on Amazon, and I'm sure it'll be in all the bookstores, not just at Del Mar and Santa Anita, but I imagine it'll get circulated to all the racetrack bookstores, etc., but you can get it right on Amazon. All proceeds benefit CARMA. Good job, Jay.
That's great. And I guess Dennis isn't coming down.
No, Dennis. He's being a full-time attorney in addition to everything else that he has to do. So we're going to miss Dennis this year.
I had talked to him a little bit upstairs and just was questioning at first. I saw that Naira Betts is sponsoring the Haskell this year,
right?
And you had to know something else was in the works when you saw that. And of course, they signed up with Naira Betts as an ADW now in the state, which originally was just TVG only. For that, of course, some of the races are shown on Fox Sports 1. So I think the cooperation between the two states is a good thing to see. And I know it's benefited, it's probably benefited both, but the races being on the Fox Sports 1 show has really helped the handle here and just made the Monmouth Park awareness has really gone up. And I think Dennis would have probably mentioned that, but I think, just like the fact that, two competing states that are next to each other are actually sitting down at the table and, doing business together is a good thing.
Well, the opportunity for the state to be, and when we got here on Tuesday and Tom Lucci had, gave us that press release, it was really a revelation. Because New Jersey residents have been held captive essentially by the exclusivity deal with TVG. And that obviously, came to the end of its term, and now the marketplace will be open to everybody, which is fabulous. Competition and Jersey residents, the 4 New Jersey bets, number 4 NJ bets, it was certainly a capable platform, but this is different. I mean, that for people that maybe moved to New Jersey from another state and suddenly found themselves,
handcuffed.
To use, whatever they were, whatever their ADW of choice was. This is significant actually, and it'll mean extra handle out of New Jersey, guaranteed. Because I'm sure there were players who just didn't want to didn't let their handle as much of their handle.
No, and surprisingly, for the geographically the smallest of New Jersey, handles a lot of money.
Oh, well, all you got to do is look at the sports betting. The New Jersey's numbers are mind-boggling.
I don't. Yeah, they're way past what they thought.
Yeah,
I think going in.
Well,
so
of course, for those of you that listened to the show for 15 years, you heard Dennis Drazen, the entire court case, the entire PASPA case. We tracked every single minute, and Dennis was resolute that they would prevail. And Dennis Drazen and partners changed the landscape of betting in this industry.
I was going to say, you mentioned we got Nick on.
Yeah, we got Nick Tamaro. Nick.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing? It sounds like you're going to do this in the middle of a board meeting.
No, I'm going to retreat to a calm and quiet spot. The likes of your show deserves better.
Great to catch you. First of all, let's. I want to give everybody your firsthand and family's experience with Beryl, and because you last week you said to me you were really buried by the storm. Power out for how long, and how did you guys fare?
Yeah, it was a rough few days, but we got through it. We were out of power from Monday morning at about 5:30 until Thursday evening at about 8 p.m. So it was rough. It was a storm that we were actually on a little vacation in Northern California, and I was watching the weather as time was going by, and by Saturday night, it became pretty clear we were going to get at least some kind of precipitation from this thing. So went home and moved everything out of the backyard and got ready for it. And the whole hurricane experience is very surreal because it's sort of like sitting in the middle of a washing machine, and while it's on, because you're just hearing like wind and water whip around you the whole time. And I've lived through tornadoes, which that's like 10 minutes of terror. And hurricanes are just sort of like hours of nuisance. And so my fence fell down, we lost power, fence is fixed, water heaters are back on, power's back on. So all passed, but I can guarantee you, if we see another one and the category is a little bit higher, you might be seeing me in Saratoga sooner.
I love it. Well, and it's funny, Dick Powell, Wednesday, he said something that made me think of you, which was the generator. That he's got a major generator at the house for such an occurrence, and in our area, a little heat, or more important, I guess worse, more cold. But for you guys to not have air conditioning down there for 4 days, and some people have been without for 8 days, 9, 10 days?
Yeah, just about everybody's back online now, but yeah some people, it lingered up to 8, 9 days. There's a couple of people that I work with that had gotten it back in the last few days. So no, it's a long, long time. I mean, we were 16 days without power after Hurricane Ike in 2008. So I mean, this is not unheard of by any means. The difference was that Ike came through in September when the temperatures are a little bit lower. I mean, we're right in the heat of the summer right now. So it's funny, the people out there that have never experienced a hurricane won't realize it, but right after a hurricane passes through, it actually gets cool. So it was like 75 degrees all day long on last Monday, and the wind was still blowing, and it was actually a beautiful day. We kept the windows open at the house and just let it sort of air out. And then the problem was that, and it was right back normally is going to be, but fortunately I had some relatives that had power, so we were able to get the little one to a safe spot and get through it without an issue. So hopefully these stories that we're hearing about people mistreating linesmen and stuff that had come to town to help out really was just the exception rather than the rule, because Houstonians are nice people and in general are tough and resilient, and so I don't want to hear much about that. So hopefully those stories are just a few bad ones rather than the rule in general. So moving on with it now.
Hey, Nick Hammer here. I never really paid much attention to Houston weather until I moved to Hot Springs for a little bit to do Oakland, and I didn't. You got to be a tough cookie to live in the Houston area. You guys get you get a lot of flooding, and you get some remnants of hurricanes that you just had. I mean, so you got to keep your eye on it, right? And then you get the heat in the summertime. So more power to you for hanging in there.
Yeah, no, it's a rough place to live weather-wise. I think our heat is a little overrated in the sense that, yeah, it's hot, but I mean, it's not terribly hotter in Houston than it is in Dallas or Oklahoma City or, New Orleans or any place like that. The humidity is the problem for the most part. But yeah, we've had a pretty reliable Houston summer in 2024, maybe minus Beryl, but we're getting a lot of rain. We get a lot of afternoon showers. It's very similar to what you would get in South Florida. An afternoon shower that does nothing to cool it off. It actually makes it absolutely miserable once it passes through. And then, you'll watch the Sam Houston feed when you could watch the Sam Houston feed when cooler heads were in charge back in the winter. And I mean, we have nights in the winter where it was in the 30s and 40s. And, it's and at that point in Houston, that's like a 5-alarm fire, right? I mean, 50 is freezing in Texas. So you get below 50 and you might as well just write the whole damn thing off.
Whatever happened to the cicadas? Did they ever hit?
Yeah, we have. You should see the cornucopia of bugs going on. I had the bug man come out on Wednesday because I was like, Jesus, this thing got everything going, and yeah, we have a little creek next to our house, and so everything flying around was just totally out of control.
Well, you could pick up the Jason Beam photograph of oddball bugs on the race caller window. That classic,
like a windshield going through Texas.
Oh my God! Don't know where you're headed. Actually, I think Little Monmouth or Little Saratoga.
Yeah, sure. I mean, all this good racing in Monmouth. Tough to not at least want to spend some time talking about that for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, I think this whole Haskell thing is getting a little exhausting between Dornoch drawing the rail and the Rapoli and Fletcher clan not really being completely open about who's running. I mean, I think it's safe to assume that Dornoch is going to run and Fierceness is going to scratch. Yeah. And I think Mindframe is going to win. I think it's just that simple. I think the opportunity for Dornoch to beat Mindframe existed in the Belmont. I don't envision it happening again. Mindframe was just so erratic down the stretch, and he was tired. But I'll tell you, Steve, I mean, looking at the past performances and Hammer as well, and the speed figures and stuff, that race for Dornoch really came out of nowhere, and it's the kind of race that I'm going to bet against happening again. So I think Mindframe will win. I think the play in here is to try and slide Timberlake in the exacta, because this is a really surprising and really interesting entrant. I noticed it looked like in a picture I saw on Twitter as well that Brad Cox is at Monmouth. This is just I tweeted this the other day. Yeah. I'm shocked to see this horse in this race. This is a very un-Brad Cox-like move, right?
Yeah, you said it, and I brought it up yesterday on the air. I said Nick had a very interesting observation.
And it almost makes you wonder. I mean, this is the kind of horse that you could have seen Brad point to the Dwyer. He could have looked at maybe even trying the Amsterdam in an effort to get him to the Jerkins. And maybe the Jerkins is the goal, and he'll be a nifty cutback in a race like that. But I don't know. He's apparently training very well, and he's a horse that certainly had some brushes with success. He didn't get the most ideal trip in the Arkansas Derby. I do think he moved a little early. I think we all kind of assumed that he had distance limitations coming out of that. But I don't know if it's necessarily as much of a worry at a place like Monmouth, where you're going to be getting a bit quicker mile and an eighth than you will just about anywhere else. So I want to give him an opportunity to maybe upset this thing a little bit. I'll use him in some of my multis as a backup, and I'll squeeze him in the exacta underneath Mindframe. I won't use Dornoch. I'm going to need him to prove that last race to me. And I think, quite honestly, the goal from the Pletcher camp is going to be to make sure Tuscan Sky is latched onto him early and quickening this thing up as much as possible, because that gives Mindframe just a much better target to run out later on.
I should mention I made reference to it. The cross country tomorrow is the all stakes pick 4, the Wolf Hill, the Monmouth Cup, the UN, the Haskell, and then between the UN and Haskell, the Lake George at Saratoga. So Nick, do the Lake George, and then we'll work our way back from the United Nations.
Yeah, Lake George is a really good race and one that's very, very competitive. I'm actually of the opinion that the Coaching Club American Oaks is a little bit more competitive than people are making it out to be. I don't think that Torpedo Anna is a fait accompli, but the Lake George is a really interesting race. You've got horses coming out of the Wonder again. You've got horses coming out of the Wild Applause, and it's pretty tough to ignore that Oversubscribed ran very well in the Wild Applause. She was deep in the pack. They were flying out front. I don't know if the pace will be quite as fast this time around, but I really don't know how much it matters. And so I think she's clearly a deserving favorite. Sweet Rebecca was an easy horse to bet against in the Wonder Again, off a Perfect Trip win in the Memories of Silver. I thought she was a little overrated into that spot. I'm interested in seeing if Gayla Brand really rebounds a little bit. She was bad in the Wild Applause. Obviously lost contact early and never really put forth much of a run, but now she's second off a layoff. Maybe a little bit more interesting. I think the horse that you want to bet out of the Wonder Again is Vive Veuve, who was close to that pace, stayed on, really fought on all the way to the finish, and is probably a little bit better suited to the mile. So I think I'm going to end up picking her. I seem to fall for way too many of these Jack Sisterson horses, because it seems like they all end up training well also. But she's going to be the best price of the horses who can win. I imagine at the end of the day, my tickets will have at least the 2, 4, and 5. I'll probably back up with the 3 and 6. Of the Mama Stakes, I mean, I think the Wolf Hill's really fun, right? I mean, there's a number of horses in here who can win. I seem to always want to give the Jorge Duarte horses an extra look sprinting on the turf. And Nothing Better did show a little bit of a different dimension last time at Churchill, sitting a little bit off the pace. Arzak's the horse to beat, no doubt about it. I ride back on. This is a horse that I've grown quite a fondness for, and I'm glad that he was able to get up for second in the Jaipur last time out. He really just doesn't need to bring his racetrack with him. He runs every place he goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he's able to take another step forward. I think you can keep that race relatively simple with those two. And Highland Falls is supposed to win the Monmouth Cup. The concern here is what you do with Tapit Trice, who's finally supposedly going to make his 2024 debut after being pointed to a couple of different spots. There's really not much in here beyond those two. I think if anybody else were to make noise, maybe it would be Stage Raider, but boy, he has to improve a lot off of a ho-hum performance last time out in the Salvatore Mile, and really 3 straight pretty awful efforts. So I think you can be somewhat thin there. I got to tell you, I love Tawny Port in the UN. I'm really looking forward to betting this horse. I thought he got all kinds of the wrong ride last time out, getting shoved into that race at every point of call, fast-paced race. The pace fell apart. He stayed on all the way. He's a true distance horse. And this feels to me like a situation where Flavien Prat can take him back a little bit, let him produce that late run. He's going to be a good price as well. This is a super competitive race on paper. And my problem, Stephen, and I don't want to be over handicapping this, but Jose Ortiz opting to ride Farbridge over Webslinger is a really unfortunate thing for Webslinger, because I don't want to beat up too much on Luis Saez. I know I tweeted about him struggling yesterday, but long on the grass with off the pace horses is not his. That's not his thing.
No, he likes to be in the flow.
Yes, he likes to be in the flow. He wants to be forwardly placed. And I think the thing that Jose was able to do last time out with Webslinger is really show an incredible amount of patience with him to let him really produce that late run, because all we had kept seeing over and over were these balcony moves, left and right, 5 wide on the turn, 6 wide on the turn, trying to swoop the field every time. And you just give up such an advantage to everybody else in doing so. But this is a horse with a lot of talent, so I'm going to have to use him a little bit as a backup. I will not be beaten by him. I will not be beaten by Farbridge either, who I think might just excel at an 11 furlong type trip. But as far as I'm concerned, from a betting perspective, I'm going to bet Tawny Port to win. I'm going to use those 3 in some capacity in the multi-race bets. And I'm going to be happy if I get a live to mind frame and maybe for about a third as many units to Timberlake.
Who were the 2 beside Tawny Port?
The 2 on the 2 of them on the outside, 10 and 12, Webslinger and Farbridge. Not terribly interesting from a price perspective, but I mean, Tawny Port is my horse from a win angle.
So let me run these down then. This is the cross country that starts with the Wolf Hill, 5-8, and then as A's, then maybe the 3 as an A, the 8 as a B, and the 1 as a C in the Cup. Strong A with Tawny Port and sort of an A minus B pluses for the 10 and the 12. So the 9 with the 10, 12. Then in the Lake George, 2, 4, 5 as A's, 3, 6 as B's or C's, and 4, 7. More 7 and 4 as your Haskell plays. Excellent, Nick. Outstanding. Anything else you made reference? We got about 35 seconds. You made reference to Torpedo Anna. You're not convinced that Candide or Leslie's Road can't beat her?
I think Candide could beat her. I think there's a world in which she could do that. I like that Todd took a little bit of an easier path to getting to these Grade 1 races. And I'll tell you, Steve, Candide took a lot of money in that Ashland, and that means there's definitely some algorithmic stuff at play that likes Candide. And her speed figures really put her in line, especially that 99 buyer last time out. And look, I mean, it's the guy's having an unbelievable year. I have tremendous respect for what he pulled off on Oaks weekend and Derby weekend. But Kenny McPeek's not really had an easy time keeping horses at a high level for a long period of time. And Torpedo Anna's run well every single time. So at some point, she's going to have an off day. Malathak got beaten in this race by a horse who would have beaten her probably once in her entire career. So it can happen, and we've seen this happen at Saratoga pretty frequently. So I wouldn't just hand the race to Torpedo Anna.
Nick Tamero, everybody, NTAM1215. Nick, thanks. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Good luck.
Nick Tamero, folks, and there it is. Thanks to Tom Lucci and John Himes and everybody at Monmouth. Hammer, thanks for a couple of fabulous days.
Always a pleasure.
Enjoyed
we'll
it.
Do it again next week.
Exactly, but we'll be in Iowa. That's a little different. Thanks to Nick and Ron Gearking, James Scully, Steve Anderson, Marcus Hirsch, Brad Free as well. And there's your Twin Spires weekend preview. Laurel's got a couple of nice stakes. Callie asked me to mention that on Sunday. They're back. And Beat Bick will be the San Clemente and the Chouvy. Beat Bick week 2, the San Clemente, and I went for that crazy price, and the Chouvy, Shotgun Hottie for Cherie. What else is there? We're going to head out. Tina and I got to get home. We got the grandchildren, and we'll see everybody loose on the lead Sunday with Seth and I, and that's it. Thanks.
Drive safe.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you Monday.
For the angels riding down the line. Everything clears a soul. We don't know. You don't go getting all of me. There ain't no berries on the tree. Some people are dead. They're burning up the trees. We're chasing the